Hello and welcome. You're listening to Busted Outdoor Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Landis. Alrighty. Well, I appreciate you coming out. I'm here with Eric McElhaney from Greenwood Police Department, retired Greenwood Police Department. You're now with Johnson County Sheriff's Department.
Yes.
You served in 2022. You went to the academy.
Yes.
You're an instructor at the academy.
Yep.
Let's back up a ways here. So, when did you get onto the Greenwood Police Department?
I came on in Greenwood, 97.
Okay, I was 7.
Yeah, awesome.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Yeah, so there I started in 93 with Morgan County Sheriff's Department, moved over, I think in 94 to Martinsville Police Department.
Oh, wow.
Where I was there for right at about 36 months long. And then went to Greenwood.
Gotcha. So you're a class of 123 at the academy? Is
Yeah,
that it?
easy to remember, 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
What year was that?
95.
95. And you went straight from the academy to, what was the department again? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was still with Martinsville then.
Oh, you're with Martinsville?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Wasn't sure.
Yeah. I worked in Morgan County for about a year and something, and then I went to Martinsville and worked about another year, and then I went to the academy.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, wow. Things have changed a lot since then. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was good. It was good learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before that, was at ISU, 93, graduated with my bachelor. Before that, 91, Vincennes with my associates in law enforcement, and then 89, Whiteland High School, which is it's right next to Greenwood.
Yeah.
So I grew up in that area.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So when you started law enforcement, was Greenwood where you wanted to go eventually?
You know, honestly, I wanted to go to IPD.
Oh, wow.
IPD and ISP were probably my two big choices. And I was trying to get on, tried to get on both of them and it just didn't make it on either one of them. It used to be a lot harder to get on a job.
Oh, yeah, now they're hurting for people.
They're hurting for people.
Big time.
So, and that's great because it's all in your guys' ballpark.
Yeah.
The money's a lot better.
Yes.
The benefits, the perks, everything's a lot better for you, and equipment. So it's great.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that.
Night and day difference.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, from, like you said, the perks, the benefits, the pay, to the people. It's a whole different.
It's a different generation. Yeah, it definitely is. At the academy, you see things that, I would never have saw when I came through in 95.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's different.
That's what,
it's
for
good.
People that don't know, I was in the academy, class 233, so you were my lieutenant in the academy through that session. You've since retired from the academy.
Yeah, I just, left.
Yep.
Yeah.
Recently, real recently.
Yeah. January, I left there January 29th.
Yeah.
Started January 30th at Johnson County.
It's now May 19th, so yeah.
Yeah.
So Johnson, you like in Johnson County pretty well.
Yeah, I got a real good boss.
Nice.
Dwayne is the sheriff. Dwayne Burgess is the sheriff. Andy Fisher is my major. Andy Barnhart's my deputy chief. Man, and I've known these guys for probably before they even came on. So I've known Dwayne. I've known Dwayne for I don't know how long. It's a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, probably my entire Greenwood career.
Oh,
he was
gosh.
on bikes, so before he came, and then and Andy and all of them,
And
so it's good.
You're in the training division there.
I am, yeah. We have it's becoming quite something there. We have a new facility there, very nice new facility, and it's just growing. The city's growing. I mean, obviously the county is growing. The men they're bringing on, it's a constant hiring thing.
Really, it's crazy how often departments hire and you don't realize it. Like since I've started in a year, we've hired 5.
Wow.
So it's just like bam, bam, bam.
Wow.
That's good though. We're hiring some amazing people.
Yeah.
This is the best.
Good.
Excuse me, one of the best counties I've ever worked for here in Putnam.
Yeah, Putnam County's always had a good. You have a good
beautiful.
sheriff
Yeah.
here.
Oh yeah.
It's very. Drove over here and I was like, oh man, because we looked at some property. I mean, Heritage Lake and stuff over there, and looked at some things over there. So yeah, I've always liked this area.
Yep, it's awesome.
It is.
It is. Excuse me, a tickle in my throat. So in Greenwood, you've gone through some pretty incredible events.
Yeah, I had a really good career. I was very fortunate.
Yeah.
I was a pretty active officer, and so I got to get into a lot. We weren't taking the run load like they are now. So in that time frame, we could go out and generate a lot of our own stuff. And so we were only running 5 or 6 maybe at a time then.
Oh, wow.
For the shift. Compared now, it's like 15, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a lot different. But the run load, it wasn't what it was. There was a kind of a more, that was before Indianapolis was the entire county.
Right.
Indianapolis was mostly kind of considered 465 and
in the loop.
Yeah, in the loop, and then outside was the county. So we ran with Marion County guys, 357, 355, I believe was the numbers. But they ran along our side there, and so yeah, it was a lot different. We could generate our own stuff. So
that makes it nice, though.
Yeah, it was good. It gave me a good experience on dealing with people, finding things, and getting involved in things, and not just getting one run after
chasing
one
calls.
run after. Yeah. Didn't have to do that then. Now they did. Yeah,
one after another.
Yeah, at the end of my career, it was like, oh my gosh. I mean, not that the guys weren't, because the guys I had, as I was a lieutenant when I left there, I had a shift. Man, these guys are some fucking ball breakers. I mean, they were out there all the time, just getting it. I mean, dope and money and guns.
Kidding.
And, oh yeah, they were good. They were good. It was awesome to work with them, to see that, and to see these guys just take after it and go after it. It was really fun to watch that. I hated being a lieutenant,
right?
But I liked watching these guys and working with these guys. It reinvigorated me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So
super cool.
It was super cool. And a lot of good guys now. One of them's been a lieutenant, sergeants, stuff like that now. So it's I'm hoping, I'm sure from what I hear from guys, that they're carrying on that same tradition.
Oh, fantastic.
That's awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
So years ago, I think you told me a story about which I still think is hilarious, an incident with a guy with a raccoon.
Yeah.
Looking at the raccoons, you reminded me of that again.
Yeah. So now this is early in my career, very young.
Yeah.
I was with. So I had a guy riding with me. I had not been to the academy yet. So I'm FTOing and I haven't been to the academy.
Oh my gosh.
So different times.
Yeah.
But he's riding with me, good man. And we go on a run where there's a raccoon in this lady's house. So we go over to the house, and we get there, and if I remember right, elderly lady, and she's blind or something. I can't see very well. And she goes, "Hey, there's a raccoon in my kitchen. Can you get it out?" Well, this is long time ago. Yeah. So there's no animal control then. Okay. So I go in there and I can see it's a possum. So we carried PR-24s, which you may not even know what I'm talking about, but it was like a nightstick with the handle on the side. Okay. Yep. So we carried those. And so I pulled that out and I just held down its head and grabbed it. It's a possum. So grabbed it by its tail. I've grown up in the woods, so I'm a little hillbilly. So I just grabbed it by its tail. I was like, "Hey, this is what you do. You take it outside." I said, "No reason killing them. These are awesome," because they, a lot of people, those are awesome little animals.
Absolutely. I don't kill them.
Yeah, no. So I let him go outside in the yard, and he scurries off. And I said, "That's all you got to do with it." And he's like, "Okay, all right, cool." So, all right. So then months later, we get a call, and he and I are working kind of like overlapping shifts, and he gets a run of a raccoon in the house. So there's nothing really going on with me, and so I'm like, I just kind of tooling around over towards that way, and we get down that way, and so I'm going down the street, and this is more of like a residential area, and all of a sudden I hear boom, boom, big blast going off, and we carried 357 Magnums in, so they're big guns.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I'm surprised I didn't see I don't remember seeing the flame, but I remember hearing it down the street and all that, and we didn't have walkie-talkies. So I just remember grabbing the mic and going, "Shots fired," and I threw the mic down, jumped out of the car, and just ran towards that direction. And I knew where he was probably at, and within seconds, I was right there with him. And he's all tattered up. He's got his shirt ripped, his badge is down, he's kind of bleeding, and he's got his 357 in his hand. And I look over at the house, and over on the side of the house, on my left the house is elevated in that area, and about 5 or 6 feet off the ground, 4 or 5 feet off the ground. And there's an elderly man on his hands and knees, and I can't tell if he's crying or what's going on, but. And I ask him, and he goes around that corner. It's around that corner. So I go run around there with my flashlight, looking around with my gun out, thinking that I'm immediately, young and dumb, thinking it's a bad guy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I go running around there, and I'm looking, and I'm looking down. I look down at the ground. There's this big fucking mess on the ground, bloody mess. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I look over at it, and I'm like, that's a fucking raccoon. Why the? I'm like, oh no. So then I can tell it's dead. I go back around, holster up, come back around, and by this time the old man's sitting on the porch. The officer has walked over to his squad. Another officer is arriving on the scene, Ringer, and
Thinking
Brian.
you guys just shot somebody.
Yeah,
So he's
So
ass on fire.
He's showing up, and he's probably the most senior guy out there at that time. And he comes over to help us because we're two fucking idiots running around with guns. So so I go up there, and I go up, and I remember standing there down there, and this man is like laughing, and now he's sitting on his ass on the top step, and I was like, what happened? And he goes, I told him not to do that, but he said his FTO told him to.
Oh no!
And I was like, oh. He goes, yeah, we're in the house, we're in the living room, and there's a raccoon in there, and I call y'all to come get it, and he gets it, and he's got his little stick that extends out, so he carried an asp, and he's got this stick, and he's holding down the head, and he grabs it by the tail, and I tell him, I wouldn't do that if I was you, and he says, it's okay, my FTO said it was. So I guess he grabbed this fucker up, and of course, raccoons not being friendly, off it goes, and so it's on his arm, and it's just all over him. Well, so apparently he pulls out the gun in the house and was going to shoot this fucker off of his arm
inside the house.
And the old man was like, "Fuck that," and pushed him out the front door. Down the stairs they went, and that's where that took place. And so yeah, and then. I'm like, oh my God. And
we're screwed.
The other deputy was there, and he's just looking at us like, you two fucking idiots. And I'm like, I was like, oh. And so I got off at like 4 a.m. and I think he got off like at 6 or 7, maybe 8. And so I was like, hey, don't go home, go to bed. I said, as soon as the chief comes in, we're going in the office. We're getting in trouble. I said, oh my God. So I'm at home waiting around for like 4 hours. So I'm not even going to try to go to sleep. And waiting, the sheriff, he comes in, we go in and talk, what the fuck, you idiots. And yeah. And we get all done with it, get our ass reamed and stuff. And it wasn't that bad. I mean, it's the way what it was.
Yeah.
And I had I should have been more thorough in my training. So anyway,
well, you would think that'd be a common sense.
I did,
but someone that doesn't know the animal
doesn't know the difference.
I get it.
When he heard the radio say raccoon, he took it that the dispatcher was probably that's what it was. So so we got all done with that, and I remember then he looked over at the sheriff. He's like, or at the chief, and he's like, hey. Can I get a couple more rounds? I used to get the fuck out of my house. I was like, let's go. Get
I'll
outside.
give you ammo.
I was like, I'll give you ammo. Oh my God. I was like, what'd you ask for? And he was just he goes, well, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So I was like, well, because all that morning I was like, you know what? They're probably going to fire me. I'm not even going to make it to the academy here. I'm never going to get a job as a cop. And I'll get a chance. So, no, but it worked out. And he went on and he ended up retiring a few years later. It just wasn't for him. And,
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that story.
It's something that really breaks the ice sometimes in training.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, loosen up. Let me tell you a story, a joke. And this is true. I said, this is true. If you know me, this is absolutely true.
I know because I was there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is what happened. So, yeah.
Gosh.
And then that was when I was down at Martinsville. So,
okay.
So, I still got hired at Greenwood. So I was kind of surprised. But, yeah, I got hired at Greenwood and then moved on back up, because I was from that area. So I moved back home.
Yeah.
And my wife's from, the Greenwood area. So it was a good move for us. And in all, looking back and like, oh man, I wish I would have done, where I wanted to go. I'm very blessed that I actually ended up being where I'm at.
Yeah.
Where at Greenwood, I was very fortunate to get to that. That was the right agency for me. And I didn't know it, but it was.
Yeah.
It was the right place.
Everything happens for a reason.
It does.
Yep.
It does. When you think all these doors shut and you get mad and you're like, man, why me? Why God? Why this? And then he opens up this other door and lets you in and you're like,
okay.
Oh. And sometimes it takes like years for you to figure out that he actually knows what he's doing up there.
Yep, exactly.
And you're just like, so, yeah.
Yep.
But
I love that.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Man. So at the academy, bumping stuff here. What are some of the things at the academy that you can remember that you would go back and do again any day? Like your favorite parts of the academy, the basics.
As a basic or
as a basic, yeah.
As a basic, man,
It's a night and day difference, I'm sure.
yeah. I mean, that's like 30 some years ago. What was different? You know, I came from college, so I wrestled and stuff. All I did was party really in college, and I barely got I got out of college, and so I didn't have the discipline that a lot of my other cadets had from military.
Yeah.
So I was behind the ball.
Right.
So when I got there was a Lieutenant Davis there, and I mean, I admire that man. He was patient as a saint. But you know, I did left face, right face, all that. I didn't know how to do all that.
Yeah.
So I got stuck. I was holding up the curve on that. And I'm sure you had some of those people in your class too.
Yeah.
That did that. So I regret that. I wish I would have practiced that more, known that a little bit better, gotten with somebody before I went to the academy that had military experience and like,
Learn.
this is why, this is what it is, and this is why you're doing it. You know, I had a great time at the academy. I really had a good time. I was there with a really good friend of mine, Jody Neal, and he was from Martinsville too.
Okay.
And man, I mean, we were close before. We got hired really close together. We ran around on night shift together, just being a couple idiots together, and then going to the academy together. Still today, a very close friend of mine.
Nice.
And yeah, and he's retired now too from ISP. And so, you know, man, what I could change, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I guess I should put more effort into it instead of enjoying it so much.
Right. I enjoyed it. Like if they called me to hey, you gotta go back again, and be like, okay.
Yeah.
It sucked me away from the family. But
Yeah.
I had a really good time.
Yeah, I think it would have been much. There was another lady there that was with us, Patty Cummins, a close friend of mine also. She was with another department, but we had actually met through reserve school back in the day. And she was at New Whiteland at the time. Yeah.
Okay.
But she went to Greenwood a year before I did. So we got to work together and stuff. But Patty, she had two boys, and they grew up to be great men. And but she, you know, that'd been really hard. She's 10 years older than me, so I was, well, I don't want to give her age out, but anyway, you can bleep that out. But I think she was older, and she had two kids at home and a husband. Okay. And I wasn't married yet, but I had my fiance, which is now my wife. So I can imagine those that, and I've always felt bad, not bad, but I always would give a little bit more leeway to those fathers and mothers that were there, because I know, my gosh, it would be incredibly hard. Yeah, it'd be rough.
A lot of grown men crying at night.
Yeah,
it's rough.
It would have been very hard. My academy wasn't as long as yours. I think it was 12 weeks, maybe it was 10 weeks. It was not very long. It went by quick, it seemed like. Yeah. But I mean, you're there for a little bit longer, maybe another month longer than what it was. But it really needs to be longer. I mean, honestly, but for what it is. But I mean, I just could not imagine. I mean, just me being away from my son for a couple of nights was tough, and then to have that burden left on the spouse that is at home still
doing everything,
you know, and then you come home and you're kind of zonked. I imagine you've been, you know, pressured all week and missing all that, and then you got to get your laundry done. Not like you have to get your khakis straightened out. No, you don't have to do that no more. Yeah. I miss that. Should be back in place. It should
be back in. That's a huge discipline. Iron in your stride, iron in your creases.
The discipline of that, and just the dot. I mean, it's all about dotting your I's and crossing your T's in this job.
No, it's so simple.
And just doing those things I understand nobody's going to use them. I get that, but it's about a uniform.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uniformity. And there's something to be said. Now, you know, some of those guys, I think they just throw that shit wet and stuff in a bag, and they come out and you're like, dude, you look like a bag of shit, man.
Yep. No soup sandwich. I hate that. It's such a pet peeve of mine.
And so when they let that go, they let their shoes go, they let their room go, they let their training go. I think it just festers on when you start having that discipline right from the beginning, and you hold that discipline through. It helps.
Absolutely, it helps. You carry that on to the job.
Yeah.
And it shows the people that you're working for, the community.
Yeah. I mean, I've been instructing for, I think, since 96. So
Okay.
about 29 years I've been teaching, and I can tell you there is a difference at the academy. I know I don't want to go all the way down through that, but due to the lack of discipline that was there when I started teaching,
Mhm.
and the way the students would respond, the cadet would respond and listen and paying attention and do exactly what you're saying is totally different from now.
Yeah.
Because there isn't that discipline that's not ingrained. I'm not saying the guys aren't trying to do the good job. They are.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it needs to be more.
Needs to be tighter.
It needs to be tighter. And
Big
it
time.
does. And I you know, some people are like, oh, I think it should be more of like a college atmosphere. Oh, absolutely
Nope.
not. Because this is not that kind of job.
It's not. Yeah, exactly.
This is a job where you have to pay attention to detail. Things matter, lives matter. People get hurt,
Yeah.
people get seriously injured, or people die.
Yeah.
And you have to have that discipline in there. And it's just something that I guess if I was the wizard or whatever doing things, I would make that one of the things that's different.
Yeah.
Because I remember always walking the line. I mean, even today, 30 years later, I still remember walking, squaring my corners, doing all that, and being quiet until you got up into the dorm, and then I didn't talk because I was scared Davis or Baker would find me and yell at me. So
Right.
Even
in your room.
I just got in my room. I was like, oh my God, thank God I got up here without
Yeah.
getting yelled at. And then you're just like, oh my gosh, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I loved it. Now going from a basic to an instructor, did the building change at all? Our room looked like it was just a straight from the
identical.
That's-
I would go up. My room was 223.
Yeah.
Right there in the northwest or northeast corner.
Yep.
Second floor, and that was my room. And I'd have to go and do room inspections and stuff. So I go in that room, and I'm like, that's where I laid. Well, I never would lay on the bed.
I
I
slept on
didn't
the
know how to
floor.
make the bed. I slept on the floor.
Yep. I had my sleeping bag.
I had a sleeping bag and a mat because I had I cannot remember who my squad leader was. It was an S something. I destroyed, but he was a Marine that was actually and so a lot of the military came from Desert Storm. So this guy had,
yeah.
this is that time, and he'd been in Desert Storm in tanks or something like that. But squared away, man. I'm sure he had an excellent career. And so he came in and he showed me how to make the bed, did the bed, and we had springs on the beds then. Okay, so he showed me how to tuck the blanket into that and then weave it into that so it would hold it.
Yep.
And
Pull
that
it
thing
tight.
you could bounce shit off of. You go, see how you can bounce a quarter off that? I'm like, yeah, because the bed was actually like bowed.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, great. And he goes, now every day you make it. I'm like, listen, this is the only time it's being made.
Yep.
I'm just gonna sleep
Yep.
on the floor.
That's
So I just kept that shit in those little cubbies.
That's funny.
Yeah, and I just slept on the floor. We had 3 roommates now, or I had 2 roommates then.
Okay.
And there was 3 of us to
That's
the room.
We the 3.
Yeah. Now, my gosh, so look at it now. Oh, it's 2 to a room.
I can't wait to see
They
it.
are freaking they're like hotels.
Really?
Yes, except for the shower. I'm like, if you're a fat fuck, you're not getting in that fucker.
I
It's
took a
tight.
shower downstairs.
Yeah,
That-
that's what we all made a pact with McConnell, McCoy were my 2 roommates. One was from Lafayette, and McConnell was from Evansville. And I know McCoy, he's already retired as a lieutenant there. And so McConnell's with Evansville. I think he's retired now. But yeah, we just said, yeah, we're not showering here. We'll shower downstairs.
Yep.
I was like, if you guys want to shower here, that's fine. But I am not wiping this down and doing all this because and it's still there's days you come in, you're like, and you come in, your room is just. Or you walk up and you get up on the second deck, and shit's all over the floor.
Yes.
I mean, they would throw the mattresses out. I mean, you go in the day room and it's just stacked up with mattresses, and you're like, fuck. My
Like,
God.
oh, who got it?
And you
your
go
door's
to your
open.
room and you're like, there's nothing in here. It's all out there. And you're tired and you're like, shit. And you're not dealing with that until after dinner. Yes,
Oh.
sir. And you're back down there and you're like, oh my. And the whole day you're like, oh, I'm going to have to fix all that
Yeah,
shit.
I got to remake
I
my
got to
bed.
redo my bed. Yeah. So,
The entire time I was there, our room never got checked one time.
oh, no kidding.
Not once. Every time.
Wow. No, yeah, they should get checked. But I mean, it's very difficult because of all the we were short staffed.
Big time.
You know that. You
Yeah.
could see that. And I mean, and they knew, and recruits cadets, they knew that that it was and you're trying to get up there to do it. But you got 10,000 other things to do.
Yeah.
Because you're doing 2 or
Everyone's
3 jobs.
So damn busy.
I never have worked as hard as I did working at the academy. as a
No
lieutenant.
kidding.
Yeah, this is supposed to be my fucking retirement job.
Yeah.
And I worked harder than a mule. Short staffed. You're not getting a lot of people in there.
Yep.
The pay isn't good enough to draw people because of what's available out there. I mean, they're not listening. I mean, I think the admin there is listening and they understand, but the state does not. They don't care. They just think you're a number.
Yeah.
So they don't care. So it is way underpaid. So it's way understaffed, and gosh, yeah. So you are working your ass off. It was like, and you're working 50 hours a week, and then it was just hard.
So then drive home.
Yeah, then drive home. I drove 45 minutes, which I'm not bitching because. I mean,
there's some that drove further.
Some that drove well over an hour.
Yeah.
Most, I would say 2 or 3, 4 that I knew, and there's only, 11 of us then? Maybe 12.
Something like that.
That drove over an hour. And I mean.
That's dedication, though.
Yeah.
I mean, good on them.
Yeah, was Lieutenant Brown still there when you were there?
He was not. He popped in as a guest instructor, but he was not.
But see,
I heard a lot about him.
Yeah, outstanding, man. Outstanding. Very fortunate. And it was good working with him. Lieutenant Aspenson, I mean, he was my mentor. He's
amazing.
He was. He is something.
Yep.
And he could command a room. He commanded a classroom when he went in. Kids listened and paid attention. So I got a lot of teaching especially from both of them. They were different. They're definitely distinctly different instructors, but they both were connecting with the students. And it was kind of interesting to see how one could connect and the other one would connect, and they would use different methods to connect with a different student, and you could see how it works. So sometimes I could see that and be like, all right, let me try Brown's way. A little easier, a little softer, a little coming in and being more of a fatherly figure.
Yeah.
Or you have to come in as Lieutenant Aspenson's way, bam, 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 you shall.
Yep.
And you're scared of him, but
you respect him.
You respected that
big time.
Yeah, and you understood that you had to, and so that it was great to work with them. I mean, all of them like that. Nick Polero, another excellent instructor.
Yep.
Getting to work with him. Just a lot of them. Fortunately, I mean, the Academy is very fortunate. Tom Moore, I respect it. I mean, I came in after he had left. There was a time where he was there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you may not. Yeah, so he was gone for about 2 years or so, and he came back. When he came back, I was excellent choice. But he was always. I got to work with him for a lot of years with stops. He was in charge of stops, so I came out and I would constantly be polishing my skills with stops as being an instructor coming to the academy, and he was in charge of it and getting to see his way of handling it. He was more of like a Brown way, a little bit easier going. Yeah, fatherly figure. Not that he couldn't command a room, but he had a good way, a good touch, good easy going with him. It was great to see a lot of those instructors. Mark Bridge, the major, he had a really good presence about him. So there was a lot. I learned a lot from Kipper too. I know a lot of people, but I learned a lot from him of what do's and don'ts, and
super knowledgeable.
Very
knowledgeable about a lot. Not just fire, about so much.
Oh, yeah, ask him about the weather, and he knows about that. It's just like anything. You're like, why? How the fuck do you have all that in your head?
Yeah, how do you
I was like,
keep
is that
that?
like a tornado in there or something? Because it just spews out of you. And, I just know what I'm doing. And he knows everyone. He knows every police chief and everyone, and he's like, oh, that's so-and-so. We're going to stop here and have lunch, because we'd have to drive around with firearms and all over the state. And so we're stopping here and stopping there, and he knew all the places to go. And, so there was some awesome memories of being out there and stuff, and it helped me become a better instructor.
Yeah,
I forced you to be a better instructor.
Right.
If you didn't, you weren't going to make it.
Yep.
And it was miserable on you, miserable on your coworkers, and so.
And the basics don't respect you.
No, they don't. And it wasn't the goal to get a cadet or a basic to respect you, but I wanted to connect with every one of them. It's kind of hard when there's 190 of them or 180 of them. It's just hard, and some of them don't want to have anything to do with you.
Yeah, fly on the wall.
And I get that. That's an easy way to get through the academy and stuff like that. But there are definitely kids basics that I will always remember, and they need anything. You'd be like, yep. And even ones I don't remember that reach out, I get emails and stuff like, hey, can you help this guy or something with firearms or something? Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Don't remember you. Do you remember me? no, sorry, no.
A lot of faces.
But yeah, a lot of faces. But did you do anything stupid? No. Okay, well, I probably don't.
It's probably a good
So,
thing. Yeah.
it's probably a good thing. If I don't know you, some of you, they do. I would, but yeah. So it was great. It's a great job. Hard job.
I could see that, and other people could. How just balls to the walls you guys were, jumping around from tier 2 to tier 1 to guest instructors. I mean, you guys are all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, a guest instructor doesn't show up, and then they're like, "Hey, we got, we got this," and I'm like, "I don't know shit about. I've never been to a cultural awareness class," and they're like, "Yeah, I know. Here,
fake it till you make it."
Yeah, and you're like, "All right," and you're like sitting up there going, "These kids, they're eating, they're looking right through me.
Yeah.
They know I don't know this," and you're like, "Oh my god!" And later on, they're like, "No, I thought you knew." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, no, yeah, no clue. I have nothing to do about that."
That's funny. There were several times, like 30 minutes we're in class, like, do we go back to our room? What's going on?
Yeah, and that is one thing I wish, and that would be a very drastic blow the academy up and rebuild it, would be bringing on a ton of staff.
Yeah.
To run it more of like the Oregon way. There's an academy out in the Oregon that is probably one of the premier ones, and they have a huge staff of like almost 100 people.
Whoa.
So and they're dealing with so they're dealing with it a little bit differently and how they get to do it, and the options that they have and stuff. I mean, Oregon sounds like they really have it together.
Okay.
So yeah, that would be great, because then you could like really dive deep into your. Say they gave you something and you could really dive into it, really get some references, really understand it, really investigate it, come up with some good information. So when you're giving it to somebody, and maybe it's the only time they get that information, you know that you're giving them the best that you can. Because there's a lot of times I'd get done, I was like, you know what, I should fucking have gotten paid. I fucked that up. I could have done better.
Yeah.
And so that's some regret on that, but whatever. Yeah.
I don't think anybody noticed anything from any of the students, the instructors, but whatever they're coming in to teach. I mean, everybody grasping pretty well.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
It's fake it pretty well.
Yeah, it was. 'Cause there's definitely sometimes you're like, oh my God. Yeah. Or I have no reference to dealing with this. I didn't deal with this. I only, like in investigations or something like that, I only did 3 years of investigations. I just did robberies.
Not enough to teach.
Yeah. Not enough to teach. I can tell you some things, but then when you would get somebody like Lieutenant Aspenson, who has been around for years and years as an investigator and was known. I mean, even in Greenwood, I knew who Randy was.
No kidding.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you knew who Randy was because of his investigative skills.
He was Columbus, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was Columbus. So it's just south of us. Yeah. The next probably town south of us, that's pretty good size. But I knew who Randy was from being down there and stuff. I'd actually met Lieutenant Brown when he was at Columbus also, back in the day when he was on the road.
Okay.
Wow. I had a friend that was on there when I was still in college, and so I went down the road, and he was like, "See that man? Yeah, don't get in the way of him." I'm like, "Yeah, big tall lean guy, that big tall dude right there," and he goes, "Yeah."
Really?
Yeah. And so I was like, "Wow." And then when you get to know him, you're like, "Yeah, I wouldn't fuck with you."
No kidding.
You're a tall, thin basketball player, but yeah, I'm not gonna dick with that
wrap
guy.
you up.
Yeah, he would. He'd wrap you
great.
apart. So it's kind of cool. And then to end up at the academy working with them was really
that would have been
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, when I first walk in, I'm like, you guys have no clue what all I am. Just get to work with these guys.
Right.
Now I'm going to get to see them and actually get to learn from them.
Yeah.
I was really stoked about that.
That would have been super cool. Like
Yeah, it
fangirling out when you walk in there.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that's cool. I get to work with this man.
Yeah, a legend. Both of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah.
The impact they've had on people is absolutely insane.
Yeah. Yeah, and positive. I mean,
in a good way.
In a good way, yeah. I mean, in a good way. Yeah. They still care about the academy. We still talk. I talked to both of them in the last weeks or two, and and they both still care about the academy.
Yeah,
they care.
It's the future of law enforcement.
It is, and you're thinking, man, you want them to get the best because you know that they're going to come out, do the same. They're going to do that job you did. It's harder today than it was then.
Yeah,
I believe, and you're just like, man, please get everything you can when you're there, because when you get out, you're going to be. It doesn't get easier. It gets harder.
Absolutely.
This is the easiest it's going to be.
It's real world now.
Yeah, and you got to make the right decision.
You can't raise your hand and ask a question.
Yeah. hopefully you have a good supervisor, you have a good FTO program. But
Yeah.
as you know, some of the guys you went to the academy with, that was it. There was guys that were working the weekends.
Even, I don't want to say that, I guess. Some departments close to here, it's the same way. All right, you got the academy. Don't end up on the news. Don't shoot anybody. You're good. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I didn't have no
terrifying.
FTO. It was, here's the keys. Don't wreck the car.
Yeah.
And do what? Well, here's your gun. Okay. And don't do anything stupid. And call me if you need anything.
Yeah. And then they don't answer the phone.
Yeah. And we didn't have cell phones then.
Oh,
Back in the 90s, you had payphones. So you always had a bunch of dimes in your car. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a different world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's no cell phones. I mean, we had pages. Just started having those drug dealer pages.
Yeah. Oh, the drug dealer badge. That's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. Those little, drug dealer badge.
Yeah.
And so you had those things, and they just had one line. And then we got the big square box ones where you could put a big message on there from, especially go over here and check a dog in a house or whatever the fuck it was. So, a lot different than now.
Golly.
Yeah.
No kidding.
And then having, you're wearing body armor now and having walkie-talkies, having a laptop in your car. What? No, I only had like one channel on the fucking, maybe a couple channels on the radio, but it wasn't anything.
And the big radios.
Yeah. Well, the big, we had the headsets, and then the back was in the back, but you had the big whip from the 155 or 42 megahertzes. So, they were
So
good.
do like the big old like the Caprices that you guys drove?
Yeah.
Big old boat.
I had a square one, a 90.
Yeah.
Was my first car, and one of my favorites, of course. I mean, it was 90, but it had a bench seat, just like that couch right there.
Yeah, yeah.
And, being a new guy, I want to impress everybody. So I cleaned my car. I mean, clean. And it was clean when I got it because the man that had before me took care of it.
Yeah.
And so I got this car from him, and it was a big bench seat. And I thought, man, I'm going to make it shine. So I put armor on that.
no.
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah.
I know where this
I'm
is
a
going.
dipshit. Oh, yeah. So if you didn't buckle in when you hit the brakes because it didn't have ABS, you were sliding up under the dash, or you're going around curves and you didn't have a seatbelt on, you slid across one side, slid the other.
That's funny.
Yeah. And I was like, that was stupid. So then I'm using like alcohol the next day to get all my seat, get that shit off of there, and end up like putting it was,
That's hilarious.
So you
End up
kind
in
of
the
like,
passenger seat, like, okay.
yeah. I mean, because it's just a big dash all the way across, and there was the radio was strapped to the bottom of the dash, and the switch box. The radio was just right on this side, and then you had the box, and it was just like a push button to turn on the rotors. They were rotors.
Oh gosh,
And,
you can hear them.
Oh yeah, because it used to be a joke. Cause slow, so you had a slow one in the middle, and if you could get up to the car, get the information, get back before it made a
It's a
rotation.
full rotation.
Yeah, full rotation.
Oh my god,
It was a stupid joke. But yeah, so different time.
big time.
Yeah. So yeah, we did when I got, and the money wasn't the same. Okay. Like at Greenwood, they had a lot better equipment.
Okay.
So when I got to Greenwood, it was like, oh my God, I got a 96 Caprice. It's only a year old. Oh, wow. And it only had like so many miles. And it was the big Caprice, like the one, and it had the LT1 engine in it from the Corvette engine in it.
Jeez.
Oh my God. Had big ass tires on it. Those things would scream. I mean, like you'd be like, oh, the Charger's got to be very close to that in power and stuff.
Oh, no
but
kidding.
This is a
It's
big
that
car.
much?
Oh yeah, it was a ton of power.
Jeez.
But it rode smoother. It was kind of like having a Crown Vic with a big old horsepower engine in it. But it was longer. It would take it it would turn like a school bus. It was horrible. But but the trunk, man, you could put like 6
Huge.
bodies in it. Yeah, it was huge.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. You could take anybody to jail. Just fill it up. The back seat, you could put like 3 people next to each other and put them in there. And,
Now it's cram packed. My Explorer, it's like itty bitty. I love it.
Yeah.
Packed.
Yeah. I mean, the Chargers are like getting in the back seat is
Yes.
like tiny. So yeah, it was different. It was different cars and different things. So it's good to see that it's better for
Moving up in a positive way.
Yeah.
Equipment's coming a long way.
Yeah.
And continuing to come a long way.
It is. So it's good. Body armor is getting thinner, lighter, more durable.
Lighter.
Yeah, lighter.
We just got new plates for ours, and they're, I think my vest and everything's like 26, 27 pounds.
Yeah.
Got those plates. After I put new plates in it, oh my gosh, night and day difference.
Really nice. So yeah, and then getting it off your hips.
Yes.
and putting on weight carrying vests. I mean, you guys' backs are going to be in so much better shape than ours.
Yeah.
You know, we all bitch. I mean, my age, we're all bitching about our backs and stuff, and they're all jacked up. I don't know anybody that doesn't have a jacked up back at my age, but I'm hoping that changes for you with those vests.
I feel it.
Yeah, takes it off. Take that off your hips. So that's and another good thing, and the material that the uniforms are made out of are much better. They breathe. They're a lot cooler. They make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as long as the uniformity stays the same, I don't like to see too much, but I'm kind of probably too traditional on that. But like what you see ISP, that's the same thing they've been wearing since the 30s, 40s, or 50s.
Yeah.
And so I get the tradition part of it, but the practicality of it, you're kind of like, come on.
Yeah, make it a little more comfortable.
Yeah, those guys are working hard.
Yep.
So
the 12 hours in that's a long 12 hours.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked when we left the 8-hour shift and went to the 12-hour shifts. I was happy.
Yep.
Because I got more days off. I got every other weekend off.
Yeah.
And with the 8-hour shifts, you didn't. And it was a long time before you were going to get those days. And the older guys were all bitching because they had those days, and I'm like, fucker. Make it fair for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was glad we had a good chief at the time that saw that, and Chief Lout, and we went down that road, and as far as I know, they still do it.
Nice.
And I know a lot of people are like, it's 12 hours. I get it, but man, I was working 12 hours anyway because I was working 8 hours in, 4 hours of ODE on something, the mall or whatever. So So I was still working those 12 hours in the uniform.
You have to make the extra money.
You did, yeah. You did, yeah. So
it's nice. So in Greenwood, there's been the one call. I think we saw. Yeah, we did. We saw body cam footage of that one. The garage incident.
Yeah.
And the other call with the traffic stop.
Yes.
So you worked 2 calls in Greenwood that went south very fast.
Yeah, there was 2 of them. 2 of the gunfights. Well, it wasn't really a gunfight. The second one.
Yeah, the second one.
Well, it was just a shooting.
Which one happened first? Was the
in
the garage? Was that?
No, that was like 9 years later.
Oh, that was later.
Oh, yeah,
that was a recent body cam.
That was in 2016.
So on that one, that was just a domestic that went south.
Yeah, it was a domestic. So we got a call, and
so just 1 second here. I'll back up to that. So you've been in Greenwood. Was all the shootings, everything Greenwood, was at different departments?
Same. Nope, it was all in Greenwood.
So you've been in two
where I shot people.
2 law enforcement, police involved shootings, and in one of those you were shot 5 times.
Yes.
Okay, and that was the first one.
That was the one in 7. Yeah, at McDonald's.
That's epic. Okay. Yep. So yeah, now we can go back forward. Sorry.
Okay.
So yeah, you get the domestic call.
Yeah. So it came out as a straight up stabbing.
Oh, okay.
There's been a stabbing at the location there, and I was sitting talking to another Chris Reed, excellent officer, and he just got on SWAT with us, and so we were just bullshitting at some park there in Greenwood off Main Street, and stabbing came out, and I mean, it's Saturday morning. I had just got promoted to sergeant, like hours before.
Oh, no,
not even a week. Yeah, I was like, so I was still on days because usually you had to rope back to nights, and I was still on days, and we were bullshitting, and the call came out of the stabbing, and I immediately thought, right, whatever.
Yeah, typically they're just like BS.
Yeah, somebody got stabbed with a spork,
Yeah, right.
Some bullshit. So I'm running to this run. I'm going to the call, and we were on East District at the time. It was over on West District. So I crossed over and went over to the West District, was going to the run. I knew I was probably one of the closer ones to it. I had the Charger then. And so I went to that run, and I pulled up, and I kind of thought it was going to be at another house because we had a subject that lived on the same street that lived actually down a little bit. But I kind of thought when they put out the address, I was like, oh, I bet it's that guy again, because we'd been just out on we had a SWAT call out on a gentleman down the street.
Okay, that's a nice neighborhood too. Looks nice.
It was. But when you see the video, you see me going down April and then turning into the subdivision, and it comes to a T, and I make a right. That house right there, that's the house we've been to. several times
Okay.
before. And so that's where I thought we were going, but I pulled it up on maps real quick before I started getting going, just so I'd know exactly which house.
Yep.
I'm like, well, that's not it. So I knew it had to be about 5 houses down, which is about right. And so I anyway, went to the run, got to the run. You seen the video.
Oh,
I
yeah.
drive like a fucking shithead. And
Is that video accessible online, or is it one?
I thought it was on YouTube. Somebody told me it was on YouTube.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Somehow it got loaded up.
How
I
does
didn't.
something like that leak? I wouldn't want my video to leak like
Yeah.
that.
I don't know. So I was like, so yeah, I get there and I pull up at the house next to it, which is ironically, that house I pull up to is a cadet later on in my career at the academy.
Oh, wow.
It's her house.
No
Shit.
kidding.
Yeah. So I didn't know that, but whenever
Wow.
I'm showing the video, for the suicide by cop video,
Oh,
or
she's
doing
like-
that, she's like, that's my house, and I'm like,
No
no shit. She
shit.
goes, you're the one that did that? That was shot my neighbor, and I'm like, yep.
Wow.
And so I was like, yeah. And so then we talked later on, and she's having a great career. And she's doing really well.
Nice.
She was an excellent cadet, basic there. I think she was there twice, tier 2, and then turned around, came back for tier 1.
Oh,
But
good on her.
she did well
yeah.
on both. So I roll up to it. I park, house down, and I'm walking up to it, and I don't bring my rifle. I'm a big proponent of the rifle. I use my rifle. I always was having my rifle. I figured I was probably going to be in a foot chase. If this
Okay.
is true, I figured I'd be in a foot chase. I saw that I showed up first, and I'm like, whoever comes, and I had other guys on the shift with me, like Ronnie Densmore and Chris Reed, and these other guys that are fast-footed,
Yeah.
good, solid cops. I knew I had them. They're gonna bring the rifles. I knew that. So okay, so I got out, walked up there, and as I'm walking up to it, I see this at the house. I see it's like a sunfire, sunbird, some little black car sitting there, and the door's propped open. The driver's door is propped open, and I can see blood, coagulated blood, like piled up blood, and I'm like, oh fuck, that's not good.
Yep.
So you can hear
It's
me.
a stabbing.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's something. Somebody's bleeding bad.
Yep.
And so I got my pistol out, and I started coming around, and the garage door was all the way up, and the front door was shut, and I was kind of leery because it was off to my left, but at the garage door, I heard something that drew me to the garage. So I come around the garage, and I'm just pieing the garage, just taking small steps, taking bites of it,
Yep.
until I can see him sitting there, and then I keep taking another one, and I can't see what's on his right side.
Yeah.
So I pie around, and I can see. The first thing I see is the blade, a big blade of a chef knife sticking out. And then I pie around, I see the arm and the body, and I keep coming around, and then I can see that there's a female there covered in blood.
Yeah. And she was on the ground. He was standing. If I
No,
recall.
she was sitting, or he was squatting.
Okay.
So he's squatting. You don't see that because I got my pistol up already.
Okay.
You probably can't see it. But he squatted like in a patty squat. I call it patty squat. But like a real deep catcher squat.
Yep.
Both feet flat on the ground, ass not quite on the ground, but he squatted down. And in his left hand, he's got the blade facing away from him, but he's got it in his left hand, and he's got his arm wrapped around her,
Yep.
holding her. And she is sitting on her ass with her feet out front. There's a phone out in front of her on the ground, smashed, like a cell phone smashed. And she just says, I need help. I need help. And he's holding that knife, and he's holding her, and he's got that look in his eye. I'm like, motherfuck. And so I was like, shit. And I was like, drop the knife. And I was getting zero response.
Lights are on, no one's home.
Yep. So I was like, well, I'm fucking shooting this fucker.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I got to shoot this guy. I can't. I thought I had a little bit of play in it, and I mean, I'm gonna have split seconds because of the way the knife is. He's gonna have to turn it and come all the way around.
Yeah.
So, and she's sitting off to the side, which is what makes me believe more. It's suicide by cop. He wasn't using it for like a shield or anything.
Yeah.
He just waited. So, just to back up a little bit, as I'm coming down April Drive, I'm looking through the houses to try to figure, look here, look there. I was able to see, so I could identify the house before I got to the scene.
Yep.
I knew I was doing it was a fast recon, but I was looking through, and when I'm looking through at those houses, it came across the dispatcher tells us that, hey, the suspect now has called and wonders where we're at.
Oh, wow.
So,
Yep.
And that was and he used that smashed up phone.
Yeah.
So come around there, see the lights are out. I'm like, fuck, yep, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. I have to shoot him.
Yeah, I'm going to have to shoot him.
Gosh.
So I started but I couldn't get a good chest shot because the way he was squatted, his knees, his femur, and his tibia and stuff, legs were up like all I could see was really his head, the way he was squatted so deep in that squat.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to shoot this guy. I'm like, okay, looking at the head, looking at that, I'm gonna have to shoot him right through his right eye.
And you're split second in making this.
Yeah, it's just, and you can see how quick it happens. So I come around there and I see that, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna, and you can see me kind of form up my grip and everything, and I'm ready, and I'm just getting ready to press off that shot. See, he isn't responding, and he just kind of stands up, and that's when he stands up, and he's still got the knife in his hand. I'm like, oh. Well, cool. He's given up. Okay, cool. We'll get her help. Take him to jail, blah, blah, blah. Call the detective, all this other shit. And he stands up and he just looks over at me and he looks down at her. And he looks back at me and I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I just bring it right back up and he brings this, he brings his left arm up to like stab her. She's sitting on the ground and he's standing up and he brings the knife up and he starts to like going to stab her in the head or upper torso area, somewhere in there. And as he starts to bring it up, that's when I fire two. So two go underneath the arm and then he brings the knife down and two go through the upper arm and they both go into his chest. And one of them catches his spine and he starts to spin because it just clipped his spine. And then I hit one, it hit the shoulder blade and went through the shoulder blades, I believe. And then the sixth one, I believe I missed, and I missed him, and he fell to the ground, and he wasn't able to talk because there was no lungs and no heart left.
Right, you just severed all that.
Yeah, all that, and he just laid there, and you can see I'm just standing there covering him, and about that, it just seems like an hour, but it was within seconds.
Yeah.
There comes Reed, and I can see this M4 coming up, and I'm like, all right, good. That's serious firepower right there.
Thank God you guys are here.
You guys brought the weapons, thank God. And so I was like, look what you just made me do.
Yeah.
With my pistol at about 10 yards. Fuckers.
And your reaction time was insane fast.
Yeah.
It started to come down and then pow, 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 and it was done.
Yeah, it was very quick. Yeah, and I shoot a lot, and I've been very blessed with the ability to shoot.
Yeah.
It's and then of course that intake gets you going to shoot more. I've always been very fortunate with that. So growing up hunting and all that stuff, so I knew how to handle weapons, and but I didn't train that hard. I trained pretty hard before the 07 shooting, but when I got healthy, it was a different thing. It was different. It had changed me. That shooting obviously changed me in a lot of different ways. Yeah. But it turned me into something like I am going to train like a motherfucker. Yeah. And I did. And I trained and I shot and I did all the time. I trained on what it was. And I tried to get back into the, like I said, before that I was in really good shape, but and I probably said that in the academy to you, but after that I tried to do everything again, try to get myself back because I didn't want to be the weak link.
Right, exactly.
On the shift. I didn't want to be that guy.
You're en route, and everybody's like, "Oh God."
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy.
I never want that guy. But yeah, that was over. And he passed. And she was able to get help. She, took some serious stab wounds. There was one from her back all the way out her breast, and and the blood inside, and the little footprints from the little girl.
I thought there's a child inside.
Yeah, there was a little child in there, and had walked through the blood, and that poor thing.
Yeah. She was young, like 3 or 4, wasn't she?
Oh, I would say 2.
Oh, that
2
young.
or 3.
Okay.
Little, like maybe this table height.
Hopefully, that's a trauma that she doesn't remember. Hopefully,
I know. I know where she is now and stuff, and I know who she's with and the family that she's with. Just unbelievable.
Good.
Yeah.
So that was the first. No, that was the second.
Yeah,
incident.
my second shooting.
So the first one, absolutely intense.
Yeah.
Like, I've read, because you can look it up online.
Oh, yeah.
So I've read a lot of it. Then you told the whole story at Aliyah.
Yeah. And I hope it's something, there's something there to be taught. I usually teach it during stops.
Yep.
So I believe in that program. Obviously, I got his shirt on today from Pro Train. There you go, Ron. A little shout out for you. But yeah, I tell a story in stops generally. I like to do it a squad at a time, and when I was with Randy Asmussen, we did it that way. And even I've done it a couple of times since I've left.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I happened to
Like
be
you
there.
go back and talk about it?
Well, yeah, I just happened. We had to be out at the academy one day, and Lieutenant Beck was out there, and
Yeah.
he saw me. Yeah, you know which one.
Yep.
And so Lieutenant Beck's like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just showing my partner is Rich." And I said, hey, I'm showing my partner around and stuff, and we're looking at the new Birch building, you know, and he's in there just teaching stops, and he's like, "Dude, can you talk? Can you talk? Can you give your talk?" And I was like, "Well, Rich, we got time." And he's like, I want to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh,
"Okay."
Rich
I
hasn't
said,
heard
"You
it?
got time?"
He didn't hear it until that point.
No,
Oh, man.
not that I remember. And so he's like, "Yeah, no." And I'm like, "All right." I said, "Man, I don't want to interrupt your class." He's like, "Fuck that. I got you here.
Yep.
If you can be here for an hour, because it usually takes me about an hour."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And he's like, "Okay, it's on the spot." I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. And it's really, it helped me a lot to get through a lot of it. Yeah,
Talking
so
about it?
I've done it. Yeah. And then I've been there the last 3 weeks. I've been at the academy.
Oh, my
The
God.
senior instructor for 2 weeks. Oh
Yep.
my God.
Oh,
And
you
then-
just went through Evo.
yeah, and then I went
Yeah,
through
yeah.
Evo, became an Evo instructor,
Yep.
which I've always made fun of Evo guys. And
And
it's
now
hard.
here you are.
Yeah, here I am, the old guy, and I'm looking at all these young kids. I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm slow, and I'm not. My reaction is not quite their speed. I'm
Yeah,
never.
you made it.
I made it
yeah.
through. Yeah, but
Did you get master?
I still got to work on that. I'm
Yeah.
still working on my
That's
master.
a hard one.
Yeah, I'm working on my paper, and I think it's going in the right direction. It'll be interesting if it's kind of on a detail where I've most of my background I like is firearms,
Yes.
and there's some things that I can't believe happens in this state that are not in other states, and one of them is that we don't have a qualification, an annual qualification. You can graduate from the academy and never fire your gun again, and there's nothing illegal about
That's
that.
terrible.
That's fucking horrible.
Terrible.
How do we not hold officers accountable?
Yeah.
Every year you need to be showing your proficiency.
Absolutely. And this people at the academy, like, you don't need a gun.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my God.
And now
Man.
add 30 years to that, where the man gets older and he's in his 50s.
Yeah.
You lose your skills.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a depreciating skill.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, for us not to have, but I know that the LATB is actually seriously considering that. And actually, because you see it happened already in DTs. How that's doing, and you got to go through these things, these 14 things, and I think it's going to happen for firearms,
Good.
and I think it's actually going to happen for Evo too.
Good.
And it's good because those are psychomotor skills. They do, they go down. I mean, you have to have 2 hours of training every year.
That's not
It doesn't
enough.
say you don't have to shoot. Oh yeah, you could watch a fucking
It's
movie.
a PowerPoint. Police
Yeah.
one. Click, click, click,
Yeah,
click.
you go through a PowerPoint. You need to shoot. You need to shoot. And so I'm hoping that LATB takes this. And I know already talking to Orm, Deputy Director Orm, he's definitely on board with getting them up to speed on that, as in getting working on magazine exchanges, your draw stroke,
Yeah.
your low light, because the shootings happen in the dark.
I work night shifts. So
Yeah.
yeah. We don't do night shift training.
You got to have that low light shooting.
Yeah.
Even on days. I mean, that garage was fucking dark.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean,
You're clearing a house. It's dark. You're in a basement.
It's dark.
dark.
I've never found a good guy waiting out in the middle of sunshine.
Yeah, exactly.
They always go to the dark spot, which is anybody does, any animal does. So
Exactly.
so
Retreat in the dark.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So yeah, those things there and addressing those, I'm looking forward to seeing some positive change, some bringing, because if you go like to Michigan, Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, all of them have a law that says that they shall.
You
Qualify.
shall.
You shall.
Okay. That
And
needs to
Indiana
happen.
is nothing. Yeah. So it needs to happen. And I know there's some agencies that are probably going to hate me for it because they're going to have to drop, 50 rounds per officer, and they probably don't spend that in a year.
Right.
So yeah, it's like $12 on a guy, $10 on a box of shells, but
Oh, well.
a box of nines, but God, they need to do that.
Yep.
They need to, and they need to have training. That qualification is never training. It's just to check your status of your skill set,
Yeah.
and you need to have that because there is a lot that I did with Lieutenant Stolting. We did the retiree shoot.
Yeah.
And it was fucking scary.
Oh, really?
Oh, it was fun because you got to see a lot of older guys, like I know you, I've heard about you, and all these guys that come in, and then there's some guys come in that retired in 1980.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, I'm shooting at the other end of the line.
Well, yeah, and so Brent and I would, Lieutenant Stolting and I would be like, rock paper scissors, who's going out there on the range?
Oh, my
And
God.
I'm like, come on, man, you got less to live for than I do. Come
Yeah,
on,
right.
man. You're already getting full disability
like
from the military. Yeah, so, but, being the junior guy, I'm like, fine, fuck. So out to the range I go, and I'm standing out there with them. I'm like, no, just keep it down range. Just point down range. Point down range.
Put your gun on the ground.
Yeah. Stop. And they pull these things out of their pockets. This one guy brought this out, and it was just covered in lint. I'm like, that thing's going to catch fire. The gun's going to catch fire when you fire that thing. And he couldn't shoot with the shit. And there's just that time. I know it's very difficult, especially for type A personalities, to realize, all right, I'm going to have to put this down. There's no more shooting for me. There's no more.
That'd be so hard to do.
There's no,
Like,
or for self-defense.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think for hunting is one thing, but for self-defense, you are really held accountable, because when you fire those rounds, you have to fire those rounds. You have to make the right decision. Are you cognitive to make those decisions? And if not, you're going to have life and death situations with adults, humans.
Yep.
You make a bad shot out in the field, and you shoot a doe instead of a buck. Okay, that's bad. You know, you're going to get some
money.
Yeah, it's going to cost you, but it didn't cost a life.
Right.
So
cost you prison time.
Yeah, it may cost you, whatever, what they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there is a time where you have to kind of put it down, and you would see some of these guys, and they couldn't qualify. They were not even close to qualifying.
No kidding.
Yeah. And
no,
it's not
like
this,
with modern day firearms, or are they using like old revolvers?
No, well, you pick a revolver or pistol or both.
Yeah.
But I've only had like one or two guys come with revolvers. Almost all of them came with a semi-automatic pistol.
Yeah. And
that's all it says in Leosa, is that you have to have and the guys that came with revolvers, I mean, one of them was an old air marshal, I think he was.
Oh, wow.
Or an FBI. That dude ran that gun like a fucking king, man. I was watching
Really?
him. I was like, holy shit, do it again.
That's awesome.
And he's running he ran a little J-frame, and he just popped those suckers out, put them back in, and he was back on there faster than these other guys were trying to put a mag back in their Berettas.
Wow.
And he's over there just pop, 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 pop. And he's all ready. I'm like, damn.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And then another guy was an IP6 shooter. So, yeah, I mean, he's grandmaster. So he wanted it because he didn't know. And he shot, all of them in the same fucking hole. And you're like, yeah, okay, you're good.
Yep, you're good, yeah.
You're good.
Pat on the back.
Yeah. And he was out of state guy.
Gosh,
the other one was
that's cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is cool to watch that and see that. And you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, so you want me to go back to shooting?
Oh, yeah, we get off track.
Yeah,
Big time.
I know. So this shooting in 7. So I had this is in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
I had just this is right after the Marion County merger, where IMPD and Marion County was merged back together just a few weeks before. So it's kind of a weird time, not really for us, but kind of watching what was happening on the other side of the street. So I had just retired my second canine at this time. And greatest job I ever had in law enforcement, being a canine officer.
Okay.
And he was at home, and they had just given me a new car. I got in a new car because the canine, we didn't, you didn't get new cars.
Right.
At the time. Now they do, which is good, because you're always in all the pursuits.
Yeah.
I'm driving the oldest fucking car here. So I had a new car, and I didn't have very many miles on it, but I'm going over, and for some reason I'm going to meet the two officers I was assigned East District, or I was working East District that day, and I was headed up to meet with them. We didn't have roll call at this time. We had always had roll call before this. In the 10 years before this, I always had roll call, but now we had a new chief, and the chief was from ISP. Mm-hmm. They didn't have roll calls. He didn't want to have roll calls, so we didn't have roll calls anymore.
Oof.
And there was a lot of learning there in roll calls. I think it's a good thing. But so I'm headed up Madison Avenue to go meet them at County Line in Madison Avenue at the Speedway. The other two officers, there were 6 of us working that night. So I headed up that way. And as I'm going northbound, I catch a vehicle that's speeding going southbound. And they're not running too hot, but they're running a little bit. And I look over at them at Kearney as I'm going north, and they look over at me.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, fuck, cop look. And I'm driving a fully marked black and white, decked out light bar and all. And so I see them, and I go over. There's a little rise in the road there. And I go on the other side, and I flip a U-ey. I come back around, and I was going to chase them down, stop them for speeding. Yeah. And as I done that, they are now northbound. They had done the U-ey turn. They flipped around on me.
Yep.
And so I saw that, and I looked over at them again. They're really hard looking at me. So I busted hard, right at them, a U-ey, and go right at them. And I put it out, and I tell the dispatcher, kind of the location I'm going to make the stop at Fry Madison Avenue. and we're going north on Madison Avenue, and I'm gonna make the stop probably at Northern Park and Madison Avenue. And the description, it was green LeSabre and the plate number. They're in the number 2 lane because it's a 4-lane road northbound.
Okay.
And so I flip on the lights, and no reaction. Nothing. They're not speeding off, or they're not hauling ass or anything. They're only doing like 45 in a 45. It's nothing.
Yeah.
And so I flip on the light, no reaction. They don't pull to the left. They don't pull anyway. It's kind of bearing out. It's about 10:30 at night. So at Greenwood, it was and it was February 22nd or February 21st. So it's cold out. It's about 30 degrees out that day, and we had snow on the ground. There was snow in the parking lots and stuff, but they've been pushed aside. But the ground's pretty. The ground's like wet. Pavement's wet and stuff. But we're going northbound. They're not running or anything from me. They just failing to stop. And this is one of those things. It wasn't like a big thing then. I had this happen a lot. If they thought they could get into Marion County, they were safe.
Oh.
And we were about a mile south of the Marion County line. So it wasn't like, oh, God, they're not stopping. It was like, yeah, this is normal. Yep. They must be from Marion County. So we're going northbound, and I'd say, hey, and I flipped on the siren. I'm like, I got one failing to yield, and I'm headed right to where the other 2 officers are at Speedway.
Oh, okay.
Headed that way. Now, I'm telling you, this isn't something like that's all that big. That's not that, because it doesn't even get them to hop in their cars or anything. They're still staying around. I can see them as I'm pulling up.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so
wait on you.
Yeah. So there's like, well, yeah, okay. And usually they would just get across the county line, park, and they're DWS, HTV, whatever. Don't tow my car, give me a ticket, and all that kind of shit.
Was it a different in the county, like from what you guys did?
No, we took, fuck no. If you came in Johnson County, you got locked up.
That's what I figured.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're a lockup.
Oh,
county.
yeah.
But they're used to Marion County, which is different. Yeah. So nothing against it. It's just undermanned. It's just they're doing what they can. So it's nothing about the officers. It's about the administration, or about the courts and stuff.
Yep.
So we get up there, and they pull into the left turn lane to go west on County Line Road, right there at Madison County Line. So I look over, and those 2 are still just standing there. Oh, my gosh. And one of them's actually flipping me off. And so I'm like, yeah. And I said, and so they turn their turn signal on, and then they pull into, there's a McDonald's in that north west corner there of Madison and County Line Road. So they pull into Marion County, Indianapolis. And so I pull behind them. We go through the drive-through. They don't order nothing. And then they come and they park. And there are other people around. The McDonald's probably closed at 10, maybe 10:30 or something. But there was people around. Mm-hmm. Not congested, but there was some people around. Right. And there was 2 Latino males sitting on a Ford Mustang right by where the traffic stop was taking place. So all this stuff, and I try to tell this a lot especially in stops, you can hear there's a lot of red flags here, coming down through there. They're not failing to stop. I got multiple people in the car. They're picking the location. It's dark out, blah, 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 blah. And I've been teaching stops since 96. Mm-hmm. And I know better than this.
Right.
But
you're seeing all this unfold as you're pulling up.
I see this as I'm all I'm doing. But yet, with 13 years on, I've been around. I've done a lot of other things before this, and it always worked out fine for me. Been banged up, been to the hospital a couple times and stuff like that, but nothing, and nothing bad. Yeah. So I'm just like, so what do I do? And that this is wrong. Hopefully you remember that this should be a walk back technique.
Absolutely.
Right. So I don't.
Oh,
so
man.
Yeah. I fuck it all up. So,
but those guys, they didn't come to you yet. The 2 other officers at the gas station.
No, they're just still sitting over there, just sitting there, and I'm just by myself. So I walk up to the driver's side, and I'm talking to the driver. I get his, and he doesn't have a driver's license. Mm-hmm. So then I get the passenger, and that was the one when I first saw him. I was like, oh fuck, there's something wrong with this.
Yep.
This is just bad. All the hair is rising up on my hair. I'm like, this is fucking bad. So I was like, does he have ID? And he immediately hands it over to the driver, because I did a driver's side. I'm in a parking lot, so I do a driver's side approach, mm-hmm. and he hands over, and he's got a driver's license.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, why? Now I'm asking the driver, since he doesn't have a license, why isn't he driving? I don't know. All right. Whose car is it? And he goes, it's his girlfriend's car. I'm like, really? Mm. So the registration gets handed to me, and it comes back to a female, and I'm like, okay. I said, so his girlfriend's car, he has a license, but yet you're driving. What the fuck is up with that?
Yeah.
You know, there's something. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I'm like, okay, sit tight. I know I've got something now.
Yep.
I've got something. And so I walk back to my car, and I can see where we are at. We are facing Speedway the way we came in. So
Okay.
I'm looking at them over at the parking lot, the two officers. And so I asked the one officer, the younger officer, to come over. I said, "You sitting late over here." And so he hops in his car and comes over. Like, he's like 80 yards away. Pops over. I said, "Hey, I got this guy here, the driver, in the car." I said, "I ran him. He's got warrants out of Marion County, but they're not going to take him."
Right.
I'm in Marion County with the fucking guy, and you don't want him. But yeah, They said they didn't want him. Don't bring him. We're not accepting him. And it was just for like DWS and hit and run. I think.
Oh. Wow.
So
Wow,
yeah,
okay.
you know, stuff that you're like in Greenwood, we'd like hook you up and hold your ass.
Yeah. Putnam County, you're going in.
Yeah, you're going in. So this was not like they didn't want him. All right, I said, but he's never had a license, so I got him operating without received. I'm like,
Yeah.
I said, I'm gonna hook him up. I said, but I'm not worried about him. I'm worried about the passenger. The passenger's a big guy, and you know, and you obviously can't see me, but I'm only 5'7". I weighed about 180 pounds at the time, so I'm not a very tall person.
Right.
A big guy, and so I was like, I said, he's bigger than me, and he's bigger than me. He's got me by about 100 pounds. And so I said, I'm going to deal with the driver, hook him up, then we're going to get the passenger out, and then I'm going to search the car and send arrest. Yeah. All right, cool. Plan. Cool. Get up there. I get the driver out. He's more than compliant. Yes, sir. Puts his hands behind his back. He's doing all that stuff. Cuff him up.
Okay.
Set it, and I'm just starting to pat him down. And about that time, some reason, anyway, the passenger gets out of the car. And he's big. And I can see him standing over, and he's got me by probably 6 inches, maybe 8 inches. Big dude. He's in the 6.5 foot range.
Gosh.
And he's big. He's big body. Not fat, just big body. And he's dressed all in black. Like, he's got black hair, but he's got everything: black shirt, black jeans, black boots, black duster on. You know.
Oh gosh.
It's all black. It's kind of like that goth look.
Yeah.
But then he's just got this. When I'm trying to look at his eyes, he's just not there. He's just checking.
Dead eyes.
Yep. And I'm like, fuck.
That's scary.
This is gonna be a round and round with this guy. But I got now the other officer with me is a good sized man. He's a good sized boy. And so I got him with me, and they're comparable in size. So I know physically, you know, I'm already been a DT's instructor, been a lot of in wrestling. I'm good with my hands. I'm good with dealing with people. You want to go to the ground? Awesome. That's where I want to be.
Exactly.
You know, so I'm all good with that. And if you want to fight, great. That's fight. You want to run? I'm good at running. I was in great shape at that time, you know, because being a canine, you have to be.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a fat fuck with your dog, quit, get out. You got to be in great shape, because if you pull on that leading up, that Malawal's going like, fuck you, let's go back to the car.
Yep.
You know, so I was still in great shape, and which comes into play big time later. But so, you know, I got cuffed up, and the driver, and so I set him down on that back seat, on the back tire, right on the driver's side. Whoop, sit down. I said, don't move. And he goes, I ain't gonna move, Mac. I ain't moving. And I'm like, all right. So I go around the passenger side.
You've had history with this guy.
Yeah,
the driver.
I had a history with him.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, we had both of us had history with him.
Gotcha.
Never in a bad manner, just like driving issues.
But the passenger, you have no idea who this guy is.
No,
Okay.
I had a history with him before, but I did not recognize it at the time. It had been about a year before when we worked with ABC at the Alcohol Bureau Committee. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So working with them, and they were doing raids at bars and stuff. And one of them, Don, had found him in a bar, 18 years old.
Oh, gotcha. And just minor stuff.
Yeah. And so, anyway, but I didn't remember any of that. I didn't recognize that till Don told me later on when I was in the hospital about it. And I was like, holy shit, yeah, I do remember that. And it was just like, oh, there's a connection, but nothing at the time. So I go around, and he won't put his hands. He's standing up, and he's got one hand on top of the roof of the car and the other hand on the trunk, and they're just bouncing, rattling around. I'm like, this fucker's going to run. And there's snow everywhere. So between the car, there's a snow bank, like right behind it, kind of off to the side. So there's not a whole lot of room to dance, but there's room. Yeah. And so I'm like, I remember I got hold of his left wrist, and I put my right arm right above his left elbow. and I'm just going to sweep him to the ground like a straight armbar sweep was my plan. And if I got it, quick enough on it, I think I could swing it with him. And so I'm holding him like that, and I look, and I can see off to the right side, standing on my right side and his right side, over by the front passenger door, is the other officer. And he's got something in his hand. I can't see what it is, but it's like gold, silver piece of metal. Okay. And he gives me the crossed arm up, which to us is cuff him up. Yep. Okay. So I start to break back that left arm. I just quickly start to break it back. And as soon as I start to break that back, he turns into me and then punches me right in the jaw. And he hits me in the head, right in the jaw, and it kind of spins me off to the left. Mm-hmm. And he takes off running my left. And I still had grip of him, and he just pulled me, and you can see me kind of going off the body camera.
The cuff was attached?
No.
Oh,
no,
you had a physical grip. Okay.
I just gripped onto him, and he just pulls me like a big dog pulling a little kid, like doink, and off the screen we go. Ride. Yeah, we didn't have body cameras then. We just had cameras going out the front of our cars.
Yep.
And so doink off the side I go, and we only run maybe like it seemed like 10, 15 feet, not very far.
Okay.
And I trip him up and kind of push him into, there was an S10 truck sitting there, and I kind of push him into that front corner panel of that. And then I come behind him, and then my partner is right behind me. So he bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
But I still had his wrist, so I jerked him down, and we got him straight. He went right down to the ground, and I still had his wrist, so I stacked it up, straight gooseneck, and stacked it straight up. And I'm squatted like in a catching thing right next to him.
Yep. He's on the ground face down.
He's on the ground face down, and he's facing me. So I grab his head and flop it so it's facing away from me. It's facing away from me.
Yep.
Don't look at me. I don't want to see what's coming.
Yep.
And so as I've done that, my partner's gone around but he is on his shoulders and his knees. He's not all the way flat.
Gotcha.
He's on his shoulders and knees. And he's wearing this big long leather duster. And so it's like, and it was unbuttoned. So it was just like hanging down on the side of him. And I'm squatted down next to him. And I got the arm like this. And I had just gotten this new toy called Taser. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because I didn't have one. And so I'm like, oh, I'm going to fucking light this guy up. I've never got to see this before. I want to do this. Everyone's talking about how awesome this tool is.
Go.
Yeah, and I'm going to light this man up. So I grab, and I just remember I just started to break and grab it, and I smelled the smell. I'm like, what the hell is this smell? And I'm like, oh, that's gunpowder. And
my God.
And I've already been shot twice.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it. And so I'm like,
you weren't shot at twice. You've already physically been shot.
Yeah, I've already been shot twice. Yeah, I don't even know it. Nobody knows. All we smell is his gun, because what had happened was when he went down, he reached his right hand down into his front of his pants where he kept this this baby. It wasn't a baby Glock, was it? It was a Taurus PT-111. It's like a little about the size of a baby Glock.
Yeah.
10, 11 round gun. And he pulled that out, and so his arm is cranked down, so he just started shooting at me through his coat. Through his coat, blindly at me, because he's facing the other direction.
Yep.
And so the first round goes right through my right shin, and the second round goes right through my left knee, because the way I'm squatted to get down to his level, I was squatted in a squatted position. And as soon as I realized that it's that, I let go of the arm, and I start yelling gunfight, something along the lines of that, trying to let my partner know shit's gone sideways.
Yeah.
And I already fucked it up long ago, but now we're going to pay the toll for this. Fuck up. Yep. So I try to take off, and as my legs are, I'm just right back down on the ground. I'm thinking I'm going to get up and run. That's my MO. I want to jump, run, grab, move to cover, and
everything you've trained for.
Yeah. And I try to move, and I just fall right back down. And I'm right next to him, like he's right next to me. And so I draw my pistol out, and
where'd you guys carry at that time?
At that time, we had just switched over to the Glock 22s.
Okay,
the 40
That's
cals.
a 40. Yeah.
Before that, we carried the SIG 220, which is a seven round magazine.
It's a 45, isn't it?
45.
Yep.
That's
what I carried in Miami County, was the SIG 220. I loved it.
Yeah, it was a good gun, but it just didn't have enough firepower.
Right.
It just doesn't have enough ammo in the gun. And
7 and 1.
Chevrolet, I know you're hearing this and you're pissed off, but I'm telling you. But it just didn't have enough ammo, and I'm very fortunate that I didn't have it at this time. So I just got these 40 cal Glocks.
Yeah.
And I pulled it out, and I remember I got the sights aimed right at his back, but right behind him is my partner.
Oh no!
And I'm like, time at this time, it just like really slows down, and it's really slowing down, and I'm like, come on, man, move your fucking ass. And he's moving, but it's just taking him forever, it seemed like.
Yeah.
And it's not. I mean, he's up and out.
Oh, it's quick.
I mean, it's quick. So I remember, and he gets out of the way, and I can see across, and I can see Logan's Steakhouse, and I can see Lazarus, the Greenwood Park Mall, County Line Road.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, got open background. Wham, 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 wham. So I empty eight rounds at him. Yeah, 8 rounds at him right then.
Wow.
And so the way I am laying on my left side, so I'm going right hand only shooting,
Okay.
but I'm only shooting about an inch or two away.
Oh, you're on top of him.
I'm right on top of him. Like my light's probably bumping him on there. So I've got the gun extended, and I'm just wham, 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 and I'm expecting, that he's going to fall down. He's done.
He's just eating him.
And no, he starts to stand up.
Oh,
he's got that left
man.
foot. He brings his left foot up, and he's got his left foot out, and he starts to stand. And I am like, what in the hell? And I'm laying on my side. So then he turns as he stands, and he shoots me twice more. And he shoots me right in the ass. And, you don't think it's like a bad, but the way I'm laying on my side, my left side, totally my shoulders on the ground, and I'm curled up. My legs are curled up against his body, his legs.
Okay.
So we're touching each other, really forcefully touching each other.
Yeah.
And so our hands are not very far apart as we're shooting. And as I'm shooting him, he turns around, he shoots me twice more in the ass. And one of the rounds comes up, the third round goes up through my ass, through my colon, small intestine, and it comes out right here about 4 or 5 inches above my belly button, and it comes out the front of me and catches my body armor.
So it's in between you and the vest.
Yeah, it came up and hit the body armor and scooted it around, disjarred it.
Yeah.
And so I felt that, but not at the time. And then the other round right after that comes in, and it kind of takes a little bit different path. It goes up through my colon, small intestine, through my liver, through the bottom of my right lung, up into here, and then right here between these two ribs right here, it hits the sternum, and then takes this other funky turn, like I don't know what kind of degree, back this way, and goes into my shoulder blade.
Wow.
Where it stops. So it had made 4 holes in my right lung and in my liver. So that's why it ends up getting taken. And so so all this is happening. None of this I felt. None of it at all did I feel. And about that time, he shot me, and I went and rolled onto my back and went to a 2-hand hold. And I'm aiming at him, and I am like, why didn't that work?
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, he's got body armor on. Fuck,
Okay.
that's why. I said, that's the only way. I mean, FBI said this is the fucking greatest round in the world,
Yeah.
Lies. But anyway, so I'm like, okay. And then he has now turned his attention because my partner has gotten away and is drawing his weapon. He's firing.
Okay.
And he's shooting like a motherfucker, just riddling his fucking ass up. And so he turns and fires at him 3 times. And as he does, one of them hits the radio on the officer right here on the hip.
Good
splits
Lord.
that apart. The other one hits Goodyear, and the other one, I don't think they ever found.
Wow.
So all that, and as he's shooting at him, I kind of go to I'm on my back 2-hand hold, and the only thing I see in the head is because he's facing away is the back of his head right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I aim right at the back
How
cranium.
far is that from you? Like you're still on the ground. He's standing at this point.
Yeah, he's got 1 foot up, and the other knee is just barely off the ground, if off the ground.
Okay.
So we're talking probably 13, 14 inches. I'm guessing not very far.
Wow.
And so I see that, and my sights are good and clear. I press the shot off, and I see him jerk forward and turn back around and look at me. And I've got my 2 hands up.
You're good.
And I got my 2 hands up aiming at him, and he turns around and fires 1 more round at me, and he's looking at me, and I shoot him in the face, and that round goes right through and through my arm right here.
We'll hit you again.
Yeah, right through there. That's what that is. And
Nope.
that's the in,
Yeah.
and that's the out. Like, because I was holding
Yeah.
like this and went, and so when we say they shoot at the hands, they shoot at the hands. Well,
Yep.
you know this from Sims, but and then he just falls down dead.
Thanks
Yeah.
God. At that point, you're like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean you're that, but then immediately I started thinking, holy fuck, this day's gone hell. I'm like, oh my God, the driver. So I roll around over on him, and I
Oh,
start aiming
yeah.
at him, and you can see on body camera, you see him just flop himself down because I yell at him, lay down, motherfucker,
Yeah.
and he lays down.
Yes, sir.
And he lays down. He's still cuffed, sitting in the same spot, and you can see like the gunpowder and stuff the smoke go through the scene, but you don't see the gunfight because it's over off to the passenger side. But you
Holy
can see the smoke from the
shit.
on-car camera. So all that happens and stuff. And so I'm yelling at my partner. I'm like, call it in. It's code one.
Mhm.
And he's trying, but he's got a 9mm.
Had no idea
He
it was
had
shot.
no idea. And so I hit the orange button and wake up the dispatch thing and call it in. And they start, and very fortunate for me, just down the street was another medic, was one of our medics. And they show up at the scene like before a lot of people showed
They probably
up.
heard the gunshots. So that
Yeah.
whole duration, you just told that story, it seemed long. So how long did that last from
Yeah. So from
first shot till this guy's 10-0?
Well, from the time that I got punched, and this is what I was told by the detectives,
Okay.
that time I got punched to the time that we called it in was 7 seconds.
Oh my God.
So you got me firing 10 rounds, and then my partner fired 8 rounds. How many rounds did he fire? I fired 10, he fired 8. Yeah, my partner fired 12, I believe.
Okay.
And the bad guy shot 8
Mhm.
rounds, 5 at me and 3 at my partner. And so so we fired that 30 rounds within half a parking space.
Oh my gosh.
It was and it
7
was about
seconds.
7 seconds. It was over. It was like
Wow.
yeah. So it was something. It was something. So So I remember the ambulance getting there. I remember one of my very good friends showing up. He worked a different shift, but he was out still. Like this, our shift changed at 10, so he must have been stuck on paperwork or something. But anyway, he shows up, and I'm like, "Fuck!" And he opens up the door. His eyes are about as big as sand dollars, and I'm like, "Man, go tell my wife, man. Go tell my wife. I don't want the admin to tell my wife.
Yeah.
I want you go tell my wife." And I'm very fortunate that he was working that night. Randy, he saved me a lot. And so when he called my wife, he called her and told her, that I'd been in an accident, and then I was at the hospital, and then he saw me in there, and that was about the time when I'm starting to really bleed, because the ambulance gets there very quickly, and everyone's getting there really quickly.
Yeah.
And I remember being in the ambulance, and that's when I'm starting to really bleed, and I'm bleeding, and I'm like, oh, I think I got shot here, and I think I got shot there.
You still can't feel this.
No, I'm just like, it's starting to feel it.
Okay.
Like, I remember sitting on my ass cheek and going, God, my fuck, did I fall on something when I landed? I hit a rock, and I'm like, oh, I'm bleeding from my ass. I must have cut myself. I mean, that's the mentality that I was in. Sadly, I wasn't putting things together at this time.
Right.
So then I'm like that, and there was a man that got into the ambulance with us, a fireman, and Randon, and he just flipped me over to the side, and he's like, nah, so through and through, you're good, man. And because the bullet holes are like right next to each other, I'm like, so they're bullet holes? Because I can't see the back of my ass. And he's like, yeah, you're good. And so we go up to the hospital. We get to the hospital, go to trauma, and this is Wishart back when Wishart was around. And we get to trauma, and then I'm starting to realize, because I've been bleeding in the car, bleeding in the ambulance, and I'm starting to realize, I'm like, man, I'm really having a hard time breathing. Hey, and I'm telling Rhonda, who's the medic, because we knew it was Greenwood Fire. We know Rhonda and CJ, and I'm like, Rhonda, I'm having a hard time breathing. And she's on the phone, telling dispatch about it and stuff with the radio, that we're coming, and the officer been shot and whatever she's got to do. I'm like, I'm really having a hard time breathing. She's like, you've been shot, motherfucker, or something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
duh, stupid.
But I'm really having a hard time breathing. And I'm thinking at that time I knew my vest, because they had taken my vest off because it was not centered.
Yeah.
It had been pushed over. And so I knew I'd gotten shot in the chest area, but I thought the vest had caught it.
Right.
And I thought, man, this is what it feels like, because people say when you get shot wearing a vest, it feels like, you got hit with a sledgehammer or something.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, that must be why I'm not realizing that my lungs totally deflated, my liver's bleeding, and I'm bleeding out inside.
Filling up, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm filling up inside.
Oh my God.
And so we get to the hospital, and they put those pants on me, and I'm like, and I'm like, and they're putting probes on you, and they're trying to type you and all sorts of things, and I'm like, man, they're really taking this serious. I just think I got a through and through here, and I noticed my knee's been shot, and my shin's been shot, and my arm, but nothing seems like it's bad.
Yeah.
Like
internally you don't feel.
Yeah. I don't feel anything. I'm just having a hard time breathing. I wish I could just catch my breath. And they all probably know at that time, like, hey, fucktard, you're gonna die. And so I remember them. They take me. They put me on the elevator, and they're taking me to surgery on the elevator. And I remember Dr. Simon was working that day, And do you remember do you remember Lieutenant Gomez?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So do you know who his father is?
I've heard, but I don't know.
Yeah. So he's like a world-renowned
Surgeon.
surgeon,
Yep.
trauma surgeon.
Yep.
And he was working that night. He's the one that saves me. And with Dr. Simon. And the two of them work on me. But I remember Dr. Simon reaching over, looking at me. And he's like, is there anything you want me to tell your family?
Oh, shit.
I'm like, fuck. Because, I've been around that time 13 years.
Yeah.
And it's probably why complacency had set in, just like they say.
Yeah.
And I should have seen that, but I didn't. And I was like, fuck, this is bad.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, tell my wife and kid I love them. And,
At that point, you're like, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I guess is it.
I was like, yeah, I started like realizing, I started to get like very nervous at that. I was like, oh my God, fuck, I'm in bad shape. Holy shit, I'm in fucking bad shape.
Yeah.
And and so he's like, okay, and you're going to surgery, and I'm like, okay, and that was it. I don't remember anything else after that until I wake up about 6 days later.
Days.
Yeah, 6 days later.
Whoa.
Yeah, they put me in a coma, so they ended up.
Okay.
Yeah, they had to cut me from just right, about 5 inches below my belly button, all the way up into right to the bottom of my sternum, right there.
God,
and
they opened you like a dang deer.
Yeah, they did. And they took
God.
parts out of me, and then they sewed things back, and then I'd bleed again, so back to surgery. So I ended up having, I think, 6 surgeries in those 6 days.
Thank God you're asleep for that.
Yeah. And so when I wake up, I am extended like I can't see my feet. It is just all swelled up. Everything's swelled up, full of fluid and full of all this. And I am, it was weird. Yeah. And so I wake up out of that, and I remember seeing Dr. Simon, Dr. Gomez, and talking to them. And I'm really kind of still cloudy about shit. And they got me on some pretty powerful drugs. And
I would hope so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck.
Dilaudid or something.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good.
It was good.
It was good. And one time I had there's some funny stories about it. But so I remember being naked. I was naked again. I was still naked. I never probably got dressed from that. And I'm looking down at my chest and my abdomen, and it is about a 3-inch wide valley.
Oh,
right
God.
through there, and it's all just open. And I'm like, fuck. And don't you think you had to close that up? And they're like, well, we got to put a wound vac in. You have to do it from they had to do a certain type of procedure to close it. You don't just suture it shut.
Ugh.
I'm like, okay. So they're doing all that, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And I got to see my wife then.
Oh,
and
after 6 days?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Well, I didn't. It
Boy,
seemed
you
like,
didn't know.
To me, it was a minute. Like, I closed my eyes, and I woke back, like, oh. And I didn't know it was 6 days. But, yeah, she's like, oh, my God,
Has she seen you while you were in the coma? Was she able to come in?
Yeah,
Okay.
she was there. She's always been right there. And so she comes in. I remember her coming in, and I was very emotional at that time coming out, and I'm like, I'm going to make it. And she's like, she's doing the best she can, but I can read her like a book. We've been together at that time like 20 years probably.
Yeah.
And so I was like, holy shit, and this is not over, and it was not. And so should we keep so let's see, I'm in surgery. Yeah, I'm there for a long time. I have several more surgeries. They ended up having to take part of my lungs out and stuff out the back because I kept getting infected.
Gosh.
I had a bullet wound through my left knee, and they never did treat that or deal with it because they were worried about this. They said, well, anyway, I got gangrene and compartment syndrome in my left leg.
Gosh.
So, and that was several weeks later that was found. But anyway,
Lucky you didn't lose your leg.
Well, they were planning on amputating it.
Yeah.
And they were planning on amputating the right one too at one time because the sciatic nerve damage I got.
Ooh.
My right leg didn't work for a year. Not at all.
Oh,
I moved it.
Gosh.
And
you had to physically move your leg. Oh, wow.
So when I got shot, I was really into taking care of myself. And that's really, I think, what made me make it through this.
Yeah.
But I know I weighed 185 pounds that night because I worked out, weighed myself, my body fat. I kept that log of checking all the body fat, what I ate, and I was running, I ran 6 miles that day, and I ran 5-minute miles. Mm-hmm. So I was benching a ton, squatting a ton. I was in great fucking shape. And that really came into. So when I end up leaving the hospital, I am thinking it is 2 to 3 months later.
Oh, wow.
I weighed 147 pounds. I had dropped from, I think I was at 8%, 9% body fat to like 3% body fat, but I was just skin and bones, nothing. And it was just, I look at myself in the mirror and I couldn't even tell. My face was gaunt. It was bad. But you know, I was surviving.
Yeah.
I was surviving. And, yeah, they took me to a different hospital. I ended up being in about every hospital in Marion County.
Oh, yeah.
Because they took me over to Community East where I went to Hook, went to rehab, and they trying to get me for me to get out of rehab was to get a sock on. That was all I needed to do to graduate to rehab.
Wow.
Because I had no physical ability. My abdomen, obviously, all those muscles had been split.
Yeah.
So getting up and leaning, I could not use my abdomen to do a sit up. You know, I had to use my arms and stuff. And
they had lost the pain behind that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And and then just like leaning up was a chore.
Mm-hmm.
You use that pull-up bar most of the time. And the right leg was not moving at all. It just would sit there. You didn't feel it or nothing. And you still don't feel it.
Still have nerve damage?
Oh, yeah.
Is that lifelong? Nerve damage? That's never coming back?
No, not this time. No. I have restless leg syndrome, so sometimes my legs will move around at night. Yeah. And I'll be like, oh, that's why the fucking bed's shaking. All right. So, yeah. So you have that. But the right one from the knee down on my left one, it's the knee down. Right one's from the hip down. But I can feel this, but not this. So, but yeah, we go to rehab, get out of that. I go home. I'm in a wheelchair. I finally got to see one of the biggest things I do remember is, those mistakes I made, those are red flags.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping any law enforcement officer hears this and sees, and I know what I did was wrong. I made mistakes. Please don't do what I did because it nearly cost me my life.
That was going to be a huge question, the takeaway from all this.
So I remember I got to see my son after 28 days in the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
Which was hard. He was 6 at the time.
Ooh.
So it was hard.
6-year-old, so that'd be hard.
Yeah. So it was very difficult for me. I'm definitely one of those plugged in dads and always with him. And, so that was very difficult seeing him, very emotional, very draining.
Yeah.
But then when I got to come home after, all those months, I was in a wheelchair. And so getting into my house was not, there had to be some adjustments made.
Yeah.
So I got into the house and it wasn't like I'm walking around or moving around. I'm pretty much still bedridden. But if you haven't worked with workman's comp, they suck balls and they don't like you and they want you out of the hospital as soon as possible.
Oh yeah.
So anyway,
they don't want to pay you.
And I will say this, I wanted out of the hospital too.
After that long in there? Absolutely.
Yeah. And I wanted out too, but they were not, they were good. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, dude. You can do whatever. So I remember, anyway, I got home and got to see, and I was very fortunate. My mother-in-law and father-in-law moved in with us.
Wow.
I love them. They were great people. My father-in-law had just retired at that time, just a few months before, so it worked out well with my wife. When they send you home, they don't send a nurse home with you.
Yeah, exactly.
So my wife had to come off work. Yep, good luck. See you. Workman's comp hates you. And so I'm at home. My wife takes off, and it was financially a crunch on us.
Oh, yeah.
Don't live off your ODE, okay? Just live off your patrolman pay. But anyway, so because it could come back and bite you in the ass.
Yep.
So financially, we were struggling, but the FOP there in Johnson County helped me a ton.
Good.
Very stepped right up, and so they helped staying with the house and stuff, and then it was physical rehab like every day for, I mean, I can't even think how long, at least probably a year, every day going to free.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it was just trying to
God.
get, what else am I going to do? Watch I was on the internet and shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like, if I can go to rehab, I want to go to rehab. And I had this great, Ed Head is his name. And Ed actually got his doctorate degree. He's Dr. Head.
Nice.
But he's at UND. And so he was working on all this whenever I was there. And he worked on me like nonstop. I mean, the man, I mean, he just had a heart, and he was a great guy. And he was tough when he had to be tough with me.
Yep.
And he was understanding when he had to be understanding. It just, I don't know. He had more than just being a therapist, being a physical therapist. More than that. He had invested more than that.
He cared about it.
He cared.
Yeah, that's huge.
And so one day I'm in rehab with him, and I can't move my legs, and so I'm sitting in a wheelchair, and he's got me working this arm thing because the arms work. So I'm doing my own wheelchair, moving around and stuff, and I've got this arm thing going, and I'm supposed to do it for so long. He's sitting next to me, and he's documenting it with the computer and stuff, and I hear this like ripping sound, and I'm like, what the hell? And I look down, and my abdomen had split underneath the skin. So
under
the muscles,
the skin.
yeah. So all the muscles ripped apart, but the skin was intact, and so all my bowels pushed out and was between the skin and the muscle wall.
So gross.
And it was just like pouring out, and you just watch an intestine just like coming out and filling this way and filling to the left and the right. And I'm like, and I hear this rip, like, how did nobody else hear it? But it's inside my body.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, Ed, and I'm like, I don't think this is supposed to happen. He's like, what? Why aren't you doing the thing? And I go, look at my gut. And he's like, what'd you do? And I'm like, I don't know. I said, it's just kind of like ripped, and I got it. And up to the hospital I go.
Oh, they open you back up.
Back in there. So back in there again. And this, I don't know how many times this was. And so I'm back in there. And so kind of funny before that. Well, no, this wasn't that time. So there was another time I had another surgery. And so into the surgery, you get it done.
Yeah.
And they put a wound vac back in. And when they put a piece of Kevlar. So I have a piece of Kevlar now in here.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's been sutured on either side and all the way around to hold it together.
Wow.
And then they put a wound vac back in, and so we had to go through all that bullshit again and dealt with the wound vac. And so there's a nasty scar. A funny story was later on, probably 2 years into it. I've got we're at the park, and I am walking, and I believe with a cane. And we're down at Holiday World, and we used to always take my son there all the time.
Yeah.
And it's a great place. So I'm standing in line to get on a ride, and I'm standing there with my son, and I don't have a shirt on, and I look like fucking Frankenstein. It's fucking horrible. I look horrible.
Oh, I can only imagine.
It's just fucking horrible. It's nothing you want to see. But see, whenever they split me open, they threw my belly button away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a
You
prosthesis.
have no belly button.
Yeah, I have no belly button. So
Wow.
I'm standing in line, and there's a little kid, and he's just staring at me, and I know it's fucking, and I'm, and he's just staring at me, and I mean, he's like 4 or 5 foot away, he's just staring at me. I'm like, oh, fuck, I mean, people look at me because it's fucking,
Yeah.
where were you? Like Iraq or Afghanistan?
Yeah.
No, McDonald's. And they're like, what? McDonald's.
Going to the Big Macs.
Yeah. And so, so I always fuck around with that. But little boy looks at me, he just points at me, he goes, where's your belly button? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a test tube baby. I don't have a belly button, or something smart ass like that. And so Evan's like, yeah, where is your belly button? I go, well, they threw it away that night. It got tossed out. And so later on, I had a surgery. And I had another surgery to go in here for something else. I forget what it was about. And so we're going in there. And so the doc's like, and I go, hey, look, can you make me a belly button? And he's like, what? And I show him. And it just looks weird because you're totally flat.
Yeah.
There's no belly button. Everybody else got a belly button now, but me.
But test tube, baby. That's
yeah.
funny.
And so I'm like, can you make me a belly button? And he's like, yeah, I can make you a belly button. And I said, would you kind of throw that in on the thing and have the state pay for that for me? They took the first one and, just kind of fucking being stupid. And he's like, yeah. So this belly button is a prosthesis.
No
yeah,
kidding.
It's fake. So yeah, it's kind of funny.
That's
I have a belly button.
hilarious.
Yeah. So, but yeah, but after all that time, it took like 21 weeks for me, or 21 months for me to get back to work.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, 81 weeks, so about 20 months. And I have to say, Greenwood, the city, was just phenomenal with me. I never got a dock and pay. I never went to light duty. And I hear about these poor guys that their city just lets them go as soon as they can.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the city would do that now for a cop or not.
I hope
but,
not. Gosh,
I mean, but
you don't wish that
I mean,
on you.
they took care of me. I remember Charlie, the mayor. He just came in one day and he's like, man, I was kind of like the first one to really get injured. I mean, other guys,
Big time.
Yeah. So he's like, man, is there what can we do for you and stuff? I'm like, I'm like, man, I appreciate it. He goes, we're leaving you on full pay till you get, till you get well, or till you have to retire.
Yeah.
Whatever it has to do. And if you want a job after you retire, we'll find a job in the city for you.
No
just like all
kidding.
these
What a
things.
good guy.
Yeah, he was a good dude on that. And I was like, man, that's awesome. I said, but don't pay that motherfuckers any money. I said, I wasn't wrong in this shoot. Stand up there. And I said, it'll make a big difference. And they did. We got sued like 7 times.
Oh, yeah.
And they never paid a damn dime.
No, they didn't settle
and
for
the
anything.
insurance company won and kept pushing them. The attorneys from the insurance company from the city, pay.
Settle.
Nope.
Good
and
on Greenwood.
Yeah. And so it went all the way to a court, and the judge just dismissed everything. Said, nope, this is justifiable.
I'm going to owe you a dime.
No,
Oh,
didn't give him a dime.
judge, too.
Didn't give him a, yeah. So very appreciative, but very appreciative that he stood up for that. I think it probably cost the city more to represent than it would have probably to pay out.
And I think that's their big thing. It's going to cost so much more to court to do this, and just give them the $500,000 and be done with it.
Yeah, but they didn't, and I think it said a lot for the rest of the guys that were there. Like, hey, man, that dude's got my back.
Yeah,
he believes in me, and it does. And I think it was very good for the community, for the officers and the community to know, hey, the officer did the right thing.
Yeah,
and we're not paying those people.
That's how it should be.
Yeah. And because it says a message like, oh, well, we paid out because it's cheaper. But you're like, do you not understand what the message you're sending to the community?
Exactly.
Because they're from then on, they're kind of like looking at you side eye like, well, did you fuck up?
Right. Why'd you pay him?
Yeah.
What happened that
what
you're not
happened?
saying?
What'd you say? What'd you do?
Yep.
So I'm glad that they didn't. And then, got to go back to work. And I went
straight to patrol.
No.
Oh.
No,
I was gonna say.
we went round and round. The wife wanted me to take I was offered full retirement, but and I was 36 at the time I got shot, and I was almost turning 38 when I got back to work. And
2 years.
Yeah,
Oh,
20 months.
God.
So I was just getting about ready to come back, and I was finally wore both of them down. My wife and my son wore them down, and I'm like, I've got to go back to work. I've got to go back to work. And she, but I was like, what about investigations? So went to investigations, which really I knew at the time I was a diehard patrolman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm never
Being
leaving
36,
the road.
38 years old. Absolutely.
I'm going to be on the road, and stay there and all that stuff. And I'll tell you what, it was a great learning experience. I had some good leadership there. I had some good guys working with me. I was working with another stellar, Brent Goebel. I had a sergeant there, 2 good sergeants with Clink and Roller. Patty Cummins was there. She'd been in investigations a long time. And Rex Saltzgaver. And I was learning a lot from those people and on how to handle. So I came back out as a sergeant. And when I came back out, I was a much better cop.
Really?
Because I knew it really helped me as a sergeant, because I got on the scene of something and I could look and I'd be like, okay, prosecutor's going to need to know this. Let's get a statement out of this, because this is going to make a big difference later on in the investigation. So those type of things that I wouldn't have known as a patrolman that I did learn doing investigations for those 3 years. It helped me. And then who I got to work with too, with these senior and very good interviewers. I've never seen anybody as good at interviewing as Patty Cummins with a victim. Never probably can. Will, my times are over. So it was phenomenal, and never seen somebody like Brent Goebel being able to interview somebody for so long and catch them up. His ability to interview people was just phenomenal. And watching these people learning, Roller on how to be so meticulous on stuff, and Klinkowski on how to be good on the computers and stuff, trying to find these things. I mean, these guys made these huge investments in me by teaching me these things. And then I was able to go out and practice those things as a detective. And then, man, when I went out to the road, it helped me jump like light years ahead of where I would have been as a patrolman.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was really good. And I strongly encourage, if you're thinking about it, and even if you're a patrolman, you're busting their balls. And I know I would too still. But it really helped me become better. Yeah. And I became a better cop. The knowledge
behind all that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you did eventually go back to patrol.
I did. In 12, I finally got to go back to patrol. Lout let me go. He was the new chief, and we went I went back to patrol with that, and which was good. It was what I wanted. I was physically stronger, better shape. I was still wearing an AFO, a plastic thing, because I have dropped foot on my left foot.
Okay.
So I had to wear this plastic thing to hold my foot up. And because when they went through and they did these 3 or 4 surgeries on my leg, and I got to keep it with that compartment syndrome. They had to dig all that meat out. So I have no shin. I can't lift my toe up.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes I trip and stuff on my left foot, but I'm probably not drunk. So so I always tease people. But yeah, so I had to wear that. That was one of the stipulations of me for workman's comp, was to pass everything. And yeah, I could run in the AFO. I could do everything. And I remember one day, this is in the hospital going back, a couple of years then, but going back, and I remember sitting laying in my bed, and very, very vividly, a friend of mine, he's now passed, was sitting there, and he brought Jimmy John's to me, and he's eating his, and I was going to eat mine, and I remember Dr. Gomez coming in, and that detective had let himself go over the years, and he goes, "If you were fat like him," and he's like right there.
Oh my God! Yeah, doctors don't give a shit.
Yeah, he goes, "If you were fat like him, you would be dead now." And I really believe that. So when I'm at the academy and I'm trying to tell the recruits, and both tier 1 and tier 2, and you got Captain Cousin up your ass trying to get you to run, and the other instructor, and he's doing this. It's not because he hates you; it's because he loves you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's doing this to try to get you to be in good shape, because when you decide to be a policeman or fireman or anything in public service, you have to be in good physical shape. And we see that it doesn't always happen. Yep. And you probably see this around with your job, just since you've been out. Yeah. So you see that guys let it go, and if you let it go, there is no way I can depend on you to be psychologically strong if you are not physically strong.
I'm not working out for me. I'm working out for everyone I work with.
I'm working out for everybody I patrol for. Yeah. I work for. Yep. Because they expect that cop to be able to wrestle that fucking guy to the ground, that drunk to the ground, cuff him, and then pick him up, dust him off, and then also
win,
and then run into the house and get their daughter out of a burning house, or whatever. They expect that out of it, and you should hold yourself accountable. Yep. If you can hold yourself accountable on that, it's okay. Get out. It's okay. Hey, you gave it a shot, but it's not for you. Yep. Because if you're not willing to go to the gym, put the time in, put the effort in, then you need to get out. Yeah. You got to get out. And it's just time to be done. And you also have to know when it's time to be done at the end. You know, you have to be knowing when it's like you're done. Because you see a lot of guys that are like, they're there, but they're not there.
What is that? Retired on duty?
Yeah, rods.
Yeah, there it is.
Yep. So you have those guys, and you got to get out, because you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to take care of yourself, so you're not the cop that you need to be for what the community's paying you to be. Yep. And you're not doing that. But also, somebody's going to need you someday, and you're not going to be able to physically do it, and you're not going to be able to mentally do it because you're not physically there. And you're just going to be a failure all the way around. And the bad thing is, it can cost lives. Yeah. It can cost injuries or lives. And it may be a cop, could be a citizen, it could be a lot of things. Yeah,
absolutely.
Or it could be you. And it'd be most fortunate if it is you, because that's the least you don't have to have that regret to live with. So you gotta keep working out. You gotta keep striving. You gotta keep doing it. And so you just keep going. And that the thing there at the academy is they got you up, before you had breakfast and everything. I thought it was great. And he made you run, and it was always different. It wasn't the same old thing, we're going to go run. No, he changed it up. Yeah. It was always something different, because he's trying to find what you like, maybe something that you enjoy that you will do physically. Yep. Rowing, running, jumping, all those things, the wall balls, whatever it is that he's got you doing, or maybe just competing against yourself. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of competition between you guys, A squad against B squad,
C squad,
D. Yeah, and so you had these squads doing that, and we're hoping that you carry that on to later on. Maybe you got a workout buddy that's close to you, and you can go against each other, or maybe you document and you can keep going yourself, and you keep bettering yourself.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
man, and then you stay in shape and you keep going and you make it. It's not like, oh god, I go to the gym. It's, hey, I get to go to the gym.
Yeah.
I'm gonna squeeze in and work out here for 30 minutes. That's all I got. But between kids and stuff, but you got to be able to do it.
That's what's nice about our department. While on duty, we have an hour. We can go 10-6 and go to the gym for an hour.
No kidding.
Yep.
Anytime during your shift or at the beginning or the end?
Doesn't matter. You discuss it with your shift partners. And at some point during the night, you have 1 hour.
Wow.
And you go work out.
Outstanding.
Yep.
So
this department's incredible.
You get that sheriff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our sheriff's awesome. Our lieutenant is huge on working out. I don't know if you know Riley Houghton or not.
I've heard of him.
He's a machine.
Yeah.
Absolute machine.
There you go. So there you got leadership from the front.
Amazing leadership.
So you're seeing that and you're like, and he's older than you, obviously. He's been on maybe 15, 20 years longer than you. So he's older.
Right.
But that man's still doing it. There's
Every
no
day.
reason you can't do it.
He marks on at 8 a.m., but he gets up at 3, and he's got a full gym at the house, and he kills it every single day.
Yeah, that's awesome. And look at that. Look what it's putting back on you.
Yeah.
And then all these new hires you got with you. You got to see that. Now that's some leadership there.
Yep.
That would
Like I said, incredible leadership with this department.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. So, yeah. So that was pretty much, I guess, the whole thing.
So after all of that, the both shootings, the mental toll that took on you, your wife, your son, how do you get through that and still want to continue to be law enforcement, want to push through and do what you do?
I don't know. What else am I going to do? Just some fucking tard.
Yeah.
What else am I going to do? I got no skill sets. I'm going to have to do it. I don't know. It never, like I said, my son was 6 when it happened. And 12 years later, he applies to go to University of Kentucky.
Okay.
And he gets accepted, and he's got to write a resume, or he's got to write some type of writing assignment, and it says something that impacted his life. He picked that shooting as what it was, and that's what he talked about.
Wow.
12 years later. So, I mean, that shooting, when we talk about things at the house, and I've said this to you before, but you have these things in life that went on. You met your wife, you met your girlfriend, your wife, and you got married, you had children, you graduated, you went to the academy and stuff. So you have those things and those milestones in your life. Well, one of those milestones is before Eric's shooting and after Eric's shooting. In my family, with my mother, my sister, my in-laws, it always there's a marker there in life. And it's not one I'm happy about at all.
Right.
But I understand it's there. I own it. But I could have done better that night and not made that marker for everyone. So my lack of my abilities to see what was unfolding and yet not being complacent about it, not just affected me or affected my wife, but affected further from that.
Yeah.
And affected people I worked with. I know people have retired after that incident. They were like, that's it.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm. So, and they even told me that, you know what, that's what did it. That's what broke the camel's back. I was done.
He went through that. I can't do it.
Yeah. I'm not doing that. I'm not putting anybody through that. And, you can't be mad. You're
right. I mean, I respect that. I mean,
I respect a guy that will walk away, or a lady that will walk away from the job and say, you know what, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than getting themselves or somebody hurt.
Yeah. Then actually, I'm just going to do it 20 years and I have a pension. Like, oh, you fuck.
That's not worth
fucking
it.
hate those people.
Yep.
So, no. Yeah. So, it goes on and it carries on, and it still does. I mean, when that day comes around on the 21st, February 21st, I get tons of text messages from people like, hey man, glad you're alive, glad you're this and that. And I am very appreciative of them reaching out and stuff, but it always brings back like, a lot of people are like, I'm glad you're alive and stuff, but I always look at it as like, man, I fucked up so bad that fucking day. Right. And I fucked it up.
We had 7 seconds to make a decision.
Well, yeah, but I mean, here I drug a partner into it.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of regret right there. Now, he stayed on the job, and he never got injured.
Good.
Yeah, and he retired, and he's doing well, doing what he's doing. And so I'm glad for that. But there's times where I have woke up in a cold sweat thinking that he got injured.
Oh, gosh. Like,
and it's been
because of
15 years ago, or whatever it has been. Wow. It's been a long time ago. And so 18 years ago. So I still, I wake up sometimes. I'm like, well, fuck. And and I'm like, Jesus, I could have really fucked that up. Because, I mean, he didn't have kids at the time, but I mean, he had a wife. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I could have really fucked that whole thing up and fucked him up.
Yeah. And his wife and family.
Yeah, and all that. Just because I was, complacent. And, I just lost control.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Gosh. Yeah, it's insane. That story is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And it's so close to home. I mean, for everyone's listening to, a lot of people listen to this.
Yeah.
Like, you don't hear about that, things like that going around that close to home.
Yeah, it's, a lot of people are like, man, you talk about that and stuff. And I'm like, it actually helps me. I know it seems kind of weird, but it kind of helps me talking about it and reliving it and pointing out, it took a long time for me to talk about it. And it took a long time for me to point out, like, I fucked up there. I fucked up there. I fucked up there. I paid the price here. And I caused this grief for a lot of people because of that. Yeah. And so you have to constantly try to. So now I try to tell this story, like I said, at the academy or talk to people on who wants to hear about, hey, this is what I fucked up. This is why I fucked up. Please don't be like me on this thing. Yeah. And then also on how it changed me to being better and how I am just like everyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
And go forth on that, So, yeah.
Yeah, you had to go to like therapy, like.
Oh God, I had to talk to a shrink all the time.
Shrink, yeah.
Yeah.
Did it help?
Yeah. I mean, it helped. What really helped me was this man John Wood. He was from IPD. Sorry, John. IPD, and his son worked with me.
Okay.
But John he's a Vietnam vet, been in Vietnam in combat, like serious shit. And then joined IPD, been involved in multiple shootings and stuff, 60s, 70s, 80s. Yeah. And so, very turbulent time. And that man spent a lot of time talking to me, and it helped. It helped me connecting with him. And I know he's not like a therapist or anything. And he is, if you met a man, he is a hardcore dude. He just solid as a rock. And, and I would call him just out of the blue, just to talk to him, just to, hey, man, I'm feeling this. Fuck. That's normal. Really? At the time, I'm thinking, at first I was hesitant to talk to him because, I mean, I've always looked, once I met him and got to talk to him and know him, I was like, man, that dude's fucking hard. That's a fucking solid dude right there. Yeah. He'll go wherever you need to go. And so when I got injured and stuff, his son was a close friend of mine. And, we're talking and I was like, man, I just need to talk to somebody about this shit. And he's like, he calls, and here he shows up, just walks in.
That's awesome.
And he's like, you want to talk? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if you want to hear this shit. You ain't fucking hurt. And he's not yelling at me, but just being honest with me. Yeah. And breaking, and I'm like, yeah. And then I'm telling him this shit. He's listening.
You start talking.
Yeah. Yep. You start talking and this guy listens. And it was the best therapeutic. You go through all the other ones, of course. You got to take that. I had to take an MMPI like 2 or 3 times because they thought I was fucking crazy. And I know I come off kind of a little bit nuts, and I probably am. But it, like, that incident changed me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It changed me where, and I say this a lot, and I don't mean it as crash or just callous, is that there's like 6 people in this world I won't kill. And you ain't it, man. You ain't one of them.
No, yeah.
And if you put me in that situation, I ain't going to worry about it. I'm just going to do my job.
Yep,
and just
absolutely.
Right on.
And that's how it should be.
And I've already drawn that line in the sand. And so I think some people think, man, he's fucking nuts. So they kept sending me back to the fucking shrink. And the shrink's like, no, he's not nuts. He's just determined. Yeah. Well, they sent me to another shrink. Well, let's try this other guy in Carmel.
Oh, God. Let's see if he says he's nuts.
Him. Yeah, see him. And that guy was like, at the end, he was like, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just wired differently. And I think I kind of got a little rewired, Yeah. And so I just kind of realized that, no, you put me in that situation. I don't give a fuck. It's just,
I'm going home.
It. Wham. That's it. I've already made my decision. The decision was made when I walked in here or just because I got dispatched to this. My decision's already made.
Yep.
You want to, okay, let's go.
The outcome is how you make it.
Yeah. But it's going to be, on you. And I've already decided that I'm not going to stop, and I will kill you if need be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of people thought that was nuts, but it just gives me that thought process, and I kind of, John helped me with that, and it was helpful because I'm like, this is how I feel. He's like, good, go back to work.
You need that mentality.
Go back
If
to
not,
work.
You
I'm
will
like,
get killed.
I'm in a fucking wheelchair, man. And he's like, we'll get healthy and go back to work. I want you right next to I want you working with him. I want you back with my son. And I'm like, okay, all right.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, he helped me a lot.
That's amazing.
He's good. Yeah, he's a real good dude.
Good. Yeah, the support would be helpful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you have to have that. And
You have to have the support.
yeah, and I couldn't ask. I mean, my wife, she puts up with a lot of my shit. And I sometimes I'm just like, really? Why do you put up with my shit? You could do so much better than me.
Oh, yeah, my wife's a saint. I don't know how she puts up. She didn't try to kill me yet. So
Yeah,
that's 17 years strong.
Yeah, if I wake up and I'm in heaven and she put a pillow over my head, I'll be like, man, probably deserved it.
I deserved it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, she puts up a lot, with us, and I'm very thankful for her. And what it, a lot of people could use it as an excuse or use it. I mean, especially my son could have, but it did not. It turned him into doing what he does and how he does things. And I am just like in awe, like moving to Dallas all by himself, not knowing a fucking person to take a job.
That's huge.
Yeah. He's 23 years old and he's like, yeah, I got a job in Dallas and I'm moving to Dallas in like 2 weeks.
23 years old?
Yeah, he's 23 at the time.
Still 23-year-olds live in their parents' basement.
I know.
And
This dude does not.
Nice.
No, he went to Kentucky. He didn't know his soul. I'm going to Kentucky. The fuck you going to Kentucky for? You got into IU. You go anywhere you want. I want to go to Kentucky. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it's very impressive. I didn't fuck him up too bad. I'm very thankful for that because I really could have.
Yeah.
And he never took that, and very proud of what he's become and where he's going.
Good.
I imagine one day he'll be move up right in the Rangers, and he'll be fine. He's doing good.
Good. That's all you can hope for.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I appreciate everything.
Okay.
Going back on those stories and back in time and all. I mean, that's hard.
Yeah.
That can be hard.
Yeah. Like I said, it's therapeutic for me a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah. Just those that are out there, man, keep training, keep teaching. I really enjoy.
Train hard.
Yeah, I really enjoy getting to do what I do. I get to do work with a lot of people that I've kind of worked with, throughout the years.
Yeah.
As in the sheriff and stuff, and then now I'm dealing with the younger generation of guys, and I can kind of help that. I'm hoping to make them better and get them up to where I left at.
Yeah.
So they're not starting like I started, and make it better.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Well, it's appreciated.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, all righty. Well, again, thanks again. I appreciate you
welcome.
coming out and telling us all this story.
Huh,
So,
I'll be. Yeah. All right, cool.
all right. Be safe going home.